Hi everyone, welcome to the WG's podcast. Well, no, sorry, the French OG podcast. The channel has had quite a bit of a change recently. So today's guest is I am, or also known as Illimitable Man. So very well known figure on X/Twitter. I've been a long time reader of his. So to say that this is an honor of having him on the pod, it's the least I can say. Very much. So thank you very much, I am, for giving me the privilege of coming in one of those very rare appearances you make. Please
Mm.
present yourself to the audience.
I mean, I am the guy he said I am. It's me. Hello. I don't, I'm not sure how to present myself. Yeah, like I write stuff on the internet, I guess. Like, people always think it's like I don't want to give myself like an elaborate intro. I mean, my writing's elaborate enough, right? So it's better to be. I'll be a little bit more casual now because by the end of this pod. This fucking podcast, I would have spoken so much. You'll be thankful for the fact that I was not so intense at the beginning because it's gonna build and build and build, right? Like,
Don't worry, you got free reign. You got free reign, man.
yeah, man. I mean, the thing is, right? We are, in a sense, right? So I don't consider myself a red pillar anymore, but I was. Like, if you want to like stalk me, if you're gonna be like, by the way, I've had many stalkers over the years, right? I'm not. This is not like flexing or anything. I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've had
yeah.
weird, parasocially obsessed people stalk me over the internet. Like, like go on like the web archive, look at like deleted pages, track things, trace things. These motherfuckers exist, right? If you go back like far enough and you try to like trace my like internet, my digital blueprint or whatever, you will see I was in the Red Pill subreddit
Mm-hmm.
before people knew, but like Red Pill's kind of like mainstream now, right? But
Yeah.
I was part of the community. I was one of like the very early first members in like
Well,
2013 it was.
I think I know.
I I joined when it
Sorry.
was like 2,000 members.
Uh-huh.
So like
Because
right
I
at the
know
beginning.
I know that. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, right? But
Mm.
weren't you kind of friend with Donovan Sharp as well?
Yeah, Donald. Yeah, yeah. I've done some. I appeared on his the Sharp Reality, his podcast show, many years ago. Yeah, me and Donovan. Yeah, I done some shows with Donovan. Yeah,
Yeah,
back in
no,
the day.
no. No,
Yeah,
I knew of them because Return of Kings. I kind of was reading that in about, back then it
yeah.
was very big.
Return of King's been dead a long time, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I was part of all of that. I mean, I wasn't part of Return of Kings because I didn't write for them, but I mean, I was around when that
yeah.
was current. Yeah, I was part of the early Red Pill internet community, and it's like I mean, I hate to say this shit, right? Because how should I say? The red pill's not a philosophy, right? If you ask, it's not an ideology either. The defensive term they will use is a praxeology, right? Most people don't
Yes.
even know what the fuck a praxeology is, right? But it's like it's meant to be like an implementable framework that tells you how to live, right? Well,
Yes.
not tells you how to live, but it's like guidance for how to live. But I do think that it's insufficient as a governing system for how to live your life as a man. Bear in mind, I'm not saying this as someone who doesn't understand men or doesn't care about men or is a feminist or is gay or has low testosterone or some stupid shit like this. I'm saying this as someone who is in the community right from the beginning. And I suppose the only last point of attack you could say is maybe I'm a Fed.
You're
He's
fed.
a
You're
Fed.
fed.
You're a fucking Fed. You defecting Fed. Yeah, so it's like, but no, how I see it now is, I think it's become kind of it's become kind of ridiculous because that is true. It's like any kind of system of thought. It starts like how should we say purer, and by purer I mean higher signal, and then it's like anything that scales. If you want something to be good, like a club or a
Yeah.
community or something, you cannot have hundreds of thousands, millions of people. You need to be elitist, discriminating. You need to vet people. You need to decide, no, sorry, you're not good enough. You have to fucking go away. Like, so like I said, I was there at the very beginning, right? But
Mhm.
the bigger and bigger and bigger it got, the more bullshit it got. It's because it
Yeah,
goes from people trying to philosophize to complaining and
yeah,
just like look at the podcasts. What are the podcasts? Do they teach anything? No. They get some retarded slut who sells her fucking nudes, yeah, on OnlyFans, and then they make fun of her and they're like, oh, this is why women are stupid. It's like, do you think she's like, let's be honest, is this a representative model of femininity? Some bitch who sells her fucking nudes on OnlyFans, some retarded bitch, right? Like, do you seriously, like, if you as a man get your model of women from women who sells her nudes on the internet, and don't get me wrong, yeah, I will go the other way now. I think too many women are doing this. I think too many women are degenerate. I think it's too normalized and too common, and I think that's a bad thing. I still don't, and I think there is a kernel of truth in it. I do think that many women are more than willing to engage in various forms of prostitution to better themselves. And if not outright prostitution, at least economic exploitation of men, if they believe
mhm,
it materially betters themselves. Like the most primal core instinct of a woman is to trade her sex for resources at a very crude level. But if you
yeah,
walk around as a man thinking, "Oh, women just want to trade their sex for my reason," you become autistic about it. It's
yeah,
not a accurate mapping of reality, and this is my problem with the red pill. It's like the truths get distorted. You know, it's like what you said is true in a sense, but you lack the nuance. It's like religion. You know, motherfuckers, they don't know how to interpret scripture like properly. They do not interpret the scripture properly. They read it very literally, and then they misapply it. And they're like, "Oh well, the scripture says this." You know, it's kind of like how it's like red pillars. They want to blame everything on hypergamy all the time. Like, well,
yeah,
because of
yeah.
hypergamy, it's like, well, what about the women who date a guy who is a bum? Like, and then trust me, and I know some motherfucker will say, "Oh, you're saying the exception." These women aren't even exceptional. Many women date bums. Why? Because they're meant to be hypergamous. So why are they dating bums? You know? No,
I'll tell you,
I know the answer. I know the answer to
yeah,
this. But this is a rhetorical question, right? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, sorry, please,
yeah.
by all means,
No,
feel
no,
free
no, no,
to
no. But
riff
no,
off
no,
my
it's just,
monologue.
ah, man, don't worry. My dad is a specialist in this, so I'm more
you've
than
been you've been trained in the ways of the monologue.
oh, trust me, even though he was a diplomat, I learned to be a diplomat, but without the experience of working for the French Foreign Affairs. So, and
It,
yeah, go on. How
the French foreign affair.
I mean, I'm just saying, and well, so what does son of a diplomat do in 2026? Well, he runs a fucking pod. There you go. Talking about the evolution of today's. But I was gonna say about those women that you find on Fresh and Fit, to not name them or anything.
Hmm.
At the very least, they market the news that they would normally send to some bloke for free. So, just I'm,
But it's
I'm
like,
bit,
what? Like, but here's the thing, right? So like, just to like, I don't know. I don't even want to defend women, right?
Mhm.
It's like, but I care about the truth, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I genuinely believe the average woman feels very uncomfortable sending nudes, right? So like a woman
yeah.
who, so like just sending nudes for free. So like, people say, oh well, she's making money off it instead of giving it away for free. But it's like the average woman doesn't even want to give it away for free anyway. Like
Yeah.
if a guy asks her for nudes, she has to like really super like him and trust him, and then work up the courage to go in the bathroom and
Mhm.
go in the mirror and take a fucking selfie with her fucking boobs out or whatever. That is like the actual truth of
Yeah.
the quote unquote average woman. But like red pillars are happy think, well, she's making money off it. It's like, what I say, all women are just happy sending news to anyone because they're all just sluts, right? Like,
No, no. I was, in case, just for the audience, I was being facetious. All right.
point taken.
But you
Maybe.
also you also raise a very valid point, which is, and you see that when you grow an audience, right? So before on X, you
Mm.
had like about 300K, right, people, and for
I
me,
kind of
I'm
like
not.
being smaller now, like as
Yeah,
a following. Yeah.
yeah, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you why. is because when you start, right, when you start, you're quite niche in your thing, then basically people really buy into that stuff. Like they like you can see in the quality of the comments and the qualities of the people adding on to your stuff is
Mm,
of a higher level. And then you get as you grow higher and higher and higher, the level goes down and down and down.
mhm,
It's not because they don't agree with you. It doesn't matter. I'd rather someone doesn't agree with me, but give me I fucking love it, but give me like a fucking strong reasoning because then it challenged my way of thinking to a point where should I am I on the right track or am I actually
mm.
not on the right track? But then when you grow and it's like you become the quality of the replies are dropping, and
Fines.
that's and this is what you're saying technically as as the red pill got mainstream. It's like you see an evolution of the red pill, and it's like and it's a vulgarization to the point that before it was used almost as a self-improvement and it was very tied to gain.
Mm.
Now it's very much a tool to basically adopt learn self-helplessness. That's it.
It's yeah, I think yeah. There's a couple of variables there. So I mean, the podcast is outrage porn, right? It's like you're superior as a man because women are retarded, and here's how and why they're retarded. And don't get me wrong, I do think women in general are kind of retarded, right?
Yes.
I'm not gonna say, oh, no, but it's like do you have to go and get like fucking prostitutes and like low IQ prostitutes? Like get me a smart bitch and humiliate her, And it's like he can't. Go and get me a 130 plus IQ bitch. I mean, the thing is, I don't even like blood sport is fun, right? The people love
Yeah.
violence.
Yeah.
People love violence, emotional, physical. If it's an MMA fight, if it's oh you got fucking owned, yeah, everybody loves the hype or the buzz. I mean, there's a minority who don't, but most of humanity, whether they admit it or not, their guilty pleasure is they love to see someone get fucked, and they especially love to see someone get fucked if the person getting fucked is a piece of shit. Right, if it's like a someone evil or whatever or just or authority and they get taken down. People love that shit. It's like porn. It's porn for the mind. It's like catharsis for them. It's like, yeah, fuck you, right? But it's yeah, like the the average woman is just not an OnlyFans slut. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
she just isn't. You can't like hang out in the brothel or bring the bitches from the brothel to your podcast and then be like, oh,
Yeah.
well, here, guys, this is what women are like. It's
But but
fucking, it's dumb.
but there's also a hypocrisy, right? And it's not like, to be honest, like, you know, for me personally, I got bored of Fresh and Fit relatively fast, even though it was quite fun. I found, at least with Kevin Samuel, it was kind of like there was a bit more guile to it, you know? Um,
He was extremely savage. He was like, he's like, you can lose 30 pounds. And it would just like come out of nowhere. He's like, yeah, lose some weight. He's like, why would a millionaire want to marry a fat bitch like you?
ma'am,
He was
it's like,
dropping bars all over the place.
and then, and he did it with social, almost like a level of empathy,
He was
you know,
like empathy and contempt at the same time. He's like, I hate you, but I care for you.
and the funny thing is, it's like it's almost like you have to be some type of a metrosexual type of guy in order to have that level of
Yeah,
savagery
yeah.
versus like a roided meathead with little to no subtlety.
You're
But
right.
it's like,
Yeah, you're right.
you know,
But the things you can see in his physical appearance, he was very fashion conscious, wasn't he?
oh yeah,
He
that's
always
what I'm
had a
saying.
suit on. He's like in his bedroom with a suit. I'm not trying to like diss him or anything, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
like
no.
he was very clearly trying to present himself in a like professional way.
Yeah, and actually, like you were saying that you were previously red pill. Like, what was the thing that kind of like made you shift? Not necessarily to go completely against, but kind of
Right?
like, yeah, go on.
It's a case of nuance, right? So
Hmm.
it's like I don't like suddenly believe like woman is superior to man or anything. It's like I'm not like a feminist or some like dumb shit like this. It's not even that I'm against the red pill, like because I'm not. It's more the case that I don't identify with it as like a label
Hmm.
of that accurately represents who I am in its current state or incarnation because it's too fucking crude. It's like it's downgraded. So okay, so there's two facets. One, it's downgraded in the sense that as it's grown in size, it's become more crude and just more about just ridiculing women, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, don't get me wrong, sometimes you gotta ridicule a woman, right? I'm not like, oh, you can't say mean things to the woman. No, sometimes you gotta tell a bitch, shut the fuck up, right? I'm totally fine with that. But you can't be like retarded about it. You need good judgment, right?
Yeah.
And it's it's almost like men have grievances with women, and women have grievances with men as well. And the more I observe it, it's like it's becoming like male feminism almost. And
Yeah.
that's what really drives me away from it, because it's like most women, unless she's based or she's
Mhm.
like quite she's very wise, and like basically unless she's like an outlier woman, most women would think I'm a misogynist or a sexist. They would
Yeah.
think that. Doesn't mean it's true. I am a sexist. So a sexist is someone who believes the sexes are fundamentally different and have different strengths. So I would
Mhm.
say, for example, there are more male geniuses in existence than female geniuses, because it's true, right?
Mhm.
But the average woman would hear that and think, oh, well, he thinks men are smarter than women, so he hates women, which is
Mhm.
a false inference, but that's
Mhm.
how they would perceive me, right? So they think, oh, he hates women, he's misogynist or whatever. I'm not a misogynist, I'm a sexist, right?
Uh,
I,
well,
but woman is
just
sexist too, though. She wants you to pay
yeah.
for shit. She's a sexist because she thinks the man should provide, right? That's sexism. But they don't mind sexism when it benefits. The regular woman. So I'm not speaking of women who are actually worth marrying. I'm speaking of regular women that you should fucking ignore because they are worth as bullshit noise and they just
Mhm.
want attention. Yeah, these women think they don't mind sexism when it benefits them. When you pay on the first date, you don't even know her. You don't know anything about her. You don't know her family history. You don't know her notch count. You don't know her IQ. You know nothing about her at all. But because of off the back of a conversation, you've agreed to go to a restaurant, a bar, whatever the fucking stupid bullshit it is, right? You've agreed to this, and now you have to pay what, 50, 100, fucking whatever the fuck it is. Yeah? And she
Mhm.
believes you should do that because you're the man. That's sexism. Why should you, because you have a penis, pay money for some bitch you don't even know?
Well, like, all right. So just for the sake of parity, he's a
Yeah, yeah,
sexist.
please.
I'm a misogynist, but misogynist. Just so we cover all angles here. So so
Women are reeling.
I don't know. I'm just no, but the thing is, to be honest, I feel that misogynists are actually the biggest romantics, and the scale of their misogyny is just a function of their
Yes,
disappointment.
yes,
So it's
yes.
actually,
I
but
agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
but to your point, right? Like to me, for example, it really depends upon, obviously, in order to keep polarity. Obviously, I don't like to use money as a reference point, right? But in order to
Hmm.
kind of like when you invite a woman, it's almost like because you invite her, it's kind of like the burden is on you technically, but at the same time, it's because you lead.
Okay, so just I agree with you, right?
Yeah.
But just to be difficult and play devil's
All
advocate,
right.
yeah.
That's all right.
Why isn't she so obsessed with you that she feels the need to invite you? Like, why has she manipulated you into inviting her? Why are you not so insatiable and incredible? Why is she not so obsessed with your fucking essence as a man that she feels she has to invite you, because if she doesn't, she's going to lose your attention, and therefore she literally has to invite you, because if she
Yeah.
doesn't, she's going to lose you, and therefore she invites you and she pays. Why is that never the case? Why is it the man
Well,
invited her, so he has to
uh,
pay? But I am
well,
just playing devil's advocate.
yeah. Okay.
I know it's not
No,
reasonable, but
well,
but it's
I'll
logical.
yeah, no, okay, okay. Let's look at. I've got two
Yeah,
angles, right? The first
yeah,
one
yeah,
is
yeah.
the woman on TikTok will call you, "Oh, he's a princess," and they'll start making meme of the guy's princess waiting to be called to go out. But that's kind of again this bullshit. But the other reason is like think about it this way. Think about, and I know that it's just kind of like a trend in America, like
Mm.
especially in California, where a woman basically go on to one knee and ask to be married by the guy. Kind of feels a bit, I don't know. It kind of feels a bit off. Imagine a girl. See, if she goes on one knee, I mean, I rather she goes on two, and not for asking for a ring. If you see what I'm saying, if she goes on one knee for a ring, it's like I
I
don't know,
mean,
it feels
purity is very important.
yeah.
Like a woman who has experiences like, I actually had some very radical philosophy in this domain, right? Like if you go cross culturally, right?
Mhm.
Because the reason I'm saying cross culturally is because I've already thought 5 steps ahead. And motherfuckers are gonna say, "Oh, you're talking about Islam, blah 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 blah." No, I'm not talking about Islam, right?
Mhm.
I'm speaking of all cultures, including the West, right? If you go back cross culturally across history, what is the average age of marriage? Right? What is the average
Mhm.
age of marriage? And did people have sex before marriage? So to answer both of those questions, the average age of marriage would be between late teens and early 20s, and
Mhm.
people would not have had sex before marriage, especially the woman, but definitely not the men either, actually. Right?
Mhm.
You weren't being a playboy when you were 15, 16, 17, smashing 20 bitches, then getting married. Okay, this is ridiculous. You were a virgin and you were lived with your family in your house. She was a virgin. She lived with her family in her house. Your families then spoke to one another. You met one another a couple of times, and then you decided, hey, you know what? Fucking, we're gonna get married, right?
Yeah.
Something like this, because there would be courtship, and there would be like, the parents would be like watching in another room or something. In some cultures, you literally can't even look at the motherfucker before you marry them. Like if you want to see them, you have to like look through a mirror, like mirrors like bouncing off walls and shit. It sounds
Yeah.
ridiculous, right? But they're like
Mhm.
I'm just trying to emphasize that it's not normal to have, like, as a man or a woman, to be at a much higher age and have lots and lots and lots and lots of partners, especially for a woman, then, because I do think it's not like men are not influenced by their previous partners. Of course they are, but
Yeah.
women is like, for a woman, it's in a bond, any bond, like the
Mhm.
romantic bond, it's literally choosing who owns me. And I know all this stupid secular bitches, they're gonna be like, oh, misogyny, you don't own a woman, you're equal partners. It's bullshit, right? Like, just look at the sexuality of a woman. Does the sexuality of woman, like a woman's true sexuality, right? What most deeply arouses her in the core of her being. Is it egalitarianism? No. It's
No.
definitely not that.
Nope. And I'm
She wants to
French,
be
and I know.
she
Yeah.
wants to be possessed, right? Like completely. She
Yeah.
wants to be owned. So she has to respect her man. So every man she's with, it's like, I'm giving myself to this. The female psychology is, I'm giving myself to this man. I'm giving myself to that man. So what if you've given yourself to so many men? And let's say you actually gave a fragment or an aspect of yourself to
Yeah.
the last 10, 20 men, what is left to give? And then you have all the
Yeah.
comparison points. And then what will the
Oh,
liberals say to you? Oh, you're insecure. You want a woman who cannot compare you to previous. It's like, yeah, actually, you're right. I don't, because it makes her uglier and dirtier. I don't want a bitch who remembers 20 previous penises. Thank you. You know,
no, but
she has a good memory, but she's a whore. Like,
yeah. I mean, the only thing where I mean, again, but for me, I'm a bit, I'm cooked, man. But like, no, seriously, it's like, you know what? You know, just like you go there, like when you date different type of girls, right? So it's like
Mm,
you date the whores. I mean, like I'll give you a story, okay? I'll give you a story.
mm,
So
mm,
recently, I went on a date. It was the girl, young, fucking 45 minutes late. Right. In the meantime, there was like another woman. She was hot and shit at the bar. So I basically started chatting to her. Oh, she tells me she's
mm.
studying and all this, blah blah blah. And and she was waiting for someone who's not like her friend, and she was I'm just going back. And I was like, oh, where you at? Where you going to? I said, oh, Mayfair. And I was like, okay, so if this bitch is in Mayfair, that means that either she's basically a trust fund kid or she's a whore. So I was like, so much for studying. So
That's an
I was like,
accurate inference.
oh, like so I go out there, and it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna make the other bitch pay because she made me wait 45 minutes. So I'm gonna stand her up and I'm just gonna go to this girl. And then basically she showed me her friends and she's like a fucking like a solid 9. I'm like, all right, let's go for it, you know. And it's like, so it goes. I say, oh, by the way, it will be 300 pounds. I was like, oh, fuck's sake, I knew it was too good to be true, right? So,
Mm,
but I could tell, like I said, look, I'm not into transactional sex. I'm into narrative stuff. Okay, so anyway, and
mm, mm.
and she started to haggle, and she said discount. I'm like, look, I can pay for you right now, and I respect your trade. I think you're very much actually you're underpricing yourself at £300. So I was kind of like fluffing her up so that she'd give me, yeah,
You're
but I rather,
underpricing yourself. You're
but
worth more. Why are you giving me discount pussy?
I know,
I'm upset for you.
no, but I was like, so then I said to her, like, look,
All right.
I would rather buy you a drink and maybe lead to something, maybe not sex, but I want to have that uncertainty. If you give me a paywall, it kind of turn me off, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, you're really hot, but anyway, whatever. And
Yeah,
then she
yeah.
tells me, oh yeah, but I'm a stripper at one of those like clubs in London and shit. I'm like, okay, so you're studying HR, human resource,
What?
and
What?
you'll be
How
a
do you
stripper.
study this?
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, so I'm like, cool. Then basically, I end up with the young 20-year-old, and I can tell. And that 20-year-old that we're talking, like, she's working at like one of the top firm in the world. I can't, anyway, whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like, and it's like you go and you deal with her like on a sexual front, and you can tell she's too much busy with work. She doesn't have time today. She most likely has a low bike. But man, the sex shit, And so I'm like,
Yeah.
and I was in my head. And in the meantime, the other girl basically called me later to say, hey, come and fuck me. I'm like, and I was like, I traded, a good girl, like, I traded the bad
Mm.
girl where I'm going to have fun for the good girl. Was like,
I mean, the girl who is shit at sex is a training opportunity, because I see this all the time, right? And I see whores, how they try to invert things is they're like, well, why would you want a virgin? She doesn't know what she's doing. Well, because I can program her to be exactly what I need her to be, whereas you have already been basically, when you suck, right, this is how I reverse the manipulation. When you suck my dick, you are sucking my dick in the way another man taught you to suck my dick. So
Mhm.
I am, by proxy, being gay. I am receiving the blowjob. I am getting the blowjob another man likes through your mouth. So
Bro.
that is the reverse manipulation, right? Because their manipulation is, why would you want a woman who has no experience? Because I can fucking teach her what I like. And it's such a bullshit manipulation, because if, like I was saying before, if you think cross culturally, your ancestors, most of our ancestors banging whores. No, they weren't banging whores. They had virgin, like he was a virgin. They learned the shit together. Like there's nothing in your DNA that says, "Hey, I need a seasoned sex pro that knows
Mhm.
the perfect method for sucking my dick." And like obviously, if you have a short-term orientation and you don't want to like invest, you don't want to maintain anything, you only care about that evening, that week, then of course, okay, then you will value experience, right? But if you actually want to
Yeah.
maintain something, if you want to maintain something, you don't want somebody who has been trained by somebody else. If anything, in your ego as a man, you should be thinking, this bitch knows how to do the things she does and does things the way I like because I taught her. As in your ego as a man, she does what I like, how I taught her. She's not doing things to me some other man taught her. But yet all the hoes will tell you, oh, my experience, yada yada yada. Yeah, where'd you get that experience from and who taught you that? Some other guy you called daddy taught you how to suck my cock, and now I feel gay.
It's funny you say it like that. Maybe it's because my ego has been so much humbled so many times to me, I'm like, it's kind of like, no pun intended, but it's kind of like plug and play, for me. It's like, it's like, I mean, like you like, but like, I, you get to a girl, and she comes, and she comes, and she comes in ready, and you're like, and then she makes you discover shit. I'm like, this shit, this bitch is nasty. Like, yeah,
It's like
hello.
she's teaching you from her previous education. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you
yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah. No, but I was like, but then I'm actually helping the community, because then I have girls be like, well,
You're helping her.
how do you do? And without me teaching, but I don't mind teaching the community of girls, saying, if you blow a cock like this, that guy's gonna marry you, and I'm helping. But like, if whereas when I do this with a girl, I'm just like, no. You need to twist a little bit here. You gotta like move your tongue like that, And it's like, oh, by the way, if you use this toy and you do it like that, now it's kind of like I become conscious of the thing, and I'm just like, what am I like? am I Sir Alex Ferguson of sex? I'm like, nah. I want to be I want to be the spectator. I don't want to be the manager. But then again, I'm more of a consumerist, hedonist, I guess.
Yeah, you
Then some,
I think
yeah, gone.
you self-aware. Yeah, no, yeah. If I had to derive an inference or make a conclusion based upon what you've said, you've had a lot of good sex of very experienced women, which has habituated an intolerance towards inexperienced women within you. So
Yeah,
in a way, you have been trained to prefer whores because they know what they're doing,
yeah.
right?
But it also, and there's less friction in the lead up to it. But also, I just want to put a little nuance is actually some of the girl that actually fuck the best, and that's something like I've
Mm.
noticed. Older women not only are hornier, and women older, I'm talking 30 plus.
The
Uh,
testosterone's higher.
yeah,
It's true. It actually is. You
yeah,
can look it up. Older women have
yeah.
higher testosterone.
No,
That's why they're
and
hornier.
yeah, I know, and it's kind of like they're not like they don't have as much insecurity related to sex because it's like they've been, they they I forgot the expression.
But
Doesn't
the
matter.
skin is flabbier, they're not as pretty. They
Yeah, yeah,
can be insecure because they're older,
yeah,
but the hormonally, it's
yeah,
like that. I'll just quickly share something.
yeah,
Men, as they get older, become more hormonally female because testosterone goes down, and women, as they get older, become more hormonally masculine because testosterone gets higher. So it's like that is the entropy, right? You become the
yeah,
opposite of your what is good for you as you get older. So women are like the horniness is a byproduct of higher, freer circulating testosterone levels. So it's like, why is this bitch at 45? Why is she so based when she was a retard at 25? And
yeah,
obviously there is experience and wisdom and learning, but there's also a hormonal component to it. Hormones are
yeah.
very different at 45, but it's like, oh, she's more horny now. But it's like, is 45-year-old pussy have? Is it the same value? I'm being very crude here. Yeah, is
Yeah,
it the
no,
same value as 25-year-old? No, it's like you're horny when you're less valuable. You
but
know,
yeah, there you go, there you go, and the thing.
you know I'm right. Like,
And then you like you deal. It's like a trade-off. Like when you deal with a 20-year-old, it's like she has a nice perky ass. You get two handful of that. You can fold her left, right, and center. You're like, yeah, that's sorted. But it's kind of like you dealing. No, no, no. You have to the curvature of your back when doggy style. You need to learn how to curve it low and all that. But the other thing is she doesn't necessarily need to have a high body count to actually be good at bed. If she had like a good, as you said, trainer before, like a ex-boyfriend that kind of like teach her the tricks, of the game, she
Mm.
could have basically she doesn't need to be three digit to be that good, right? But generally what you'll find is the problem is more or less is it's more about because they've been with so many guys before and after, it's so easy for them to let go and to kind of like
Mm.
fast process the loss of guys and kind of like relativize each and every guy they've been with, right?
Yeah, yeah, and they're more adept in rationalizing and diminishing, and but it's I mean let me ask you, like,
Okay.
what would you prefer? Like, owning a bitch's soul, or she's good at sex and she'll be less annoying initially?
Like to,
This is like the kind of trade-off.
yeah, no,
I haven't
but
said it in the best way, but I'm like
but no, no, no,
splitting
no, no,
the.
no, no. Like to me, it's so it's interesting because for me, it's like very simple. I rather quote unquote own her soul, but not so much from a desire of ownership, but just from. For me, I'm a very simple man.
What's
I
wrong with
just want
owning the
things to.
bitch? I'm just gonna put it out there. What's wrong with that?
Oh, because for me, I don't like. For me, it's a bit like real estate. It's like I
You have to
like to
own
be
her, yeah.
no, no, no. I rather be liquid. I rather be liquid because it's like if I put too much of my money in real estate, then it's dead capital and opportunity cost is lower. I mean, the opportunity cost
I
is
understand
higher.
that.
So,
Yeah,
so you have
you
to
want optionality and exit options, and you don't want to be
not.
locked in. And
Yes, it's more about not being locked in, but having like flexibility. But I don't. I'm not like I don't want something that is kind of like just. I don't want many women. I'd rather basically have like one good company, and I don't need
mm,
necessarily a structure such as marriage and everything. But within that one
mm,
good company, it's kind of like you. it's
Would
almost like
one good company just be a wife? Just
yeah, yeah, no, but what, and also another thing which is funny because you say this, but like once you go too much onto the dark side, right? Where like whether you dealt with sex workers, whether you dealt with, I mean, like sex workers or like the stripper or anything, or whether you dealt with women that are more on the horse side, it's like
Mm,
you adapt as a guy to the level of darkness that you're used to dealing with. Therefore, you're less. It's less possible to actually be with someone pure because
mm.
to someone with someone of purity, what happens is that it's like when you're a 40-year-old and you deal with a 20-year-old. It's like, what have you got in common? Not that much. And it's like,
You know, I will push back on that a lot.
all right, go on, go on, go on.
Yeah, you know why? You know why? Because so you know I actually think age gap is the most go-to formula for couples, right? So
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
I agree too. I agree too. I agree too. It's better.
yeah, so it's like yeah, okay, you don't know like the same music bands or whatever, but for like for a start, we live in the age of the internet. Go watch this video. You know, it's not
Yeah,
hard to
yeah,
like that. But the cultural, so you did not. So to be less glib and blasé, it's more a case of you didn't grow up with the same cultural references. That's
yeah.
true because of your age
That's kind.
difference.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
you connect over cultural references, but you don't need like people who think that cultural references are like the base point of romantic relating. They don't they do, I it's like they don't understand love. Like
A hundred.
do like do,
Exactly, exactly. That's so on point.
like, do you think the ancients, like in mythological stories, they related because like their whole love was based off relating over the same? Oh, we've seen the same movies, and we know the same. Back. See, now I say it like this. Oh, we know the same. We both grew up listening to Linkin Park. Like this, is like the most retarded fucking basis for love. Yeah, you know why I want to give my soul to you because you like the same Linkin Park lyrics as me. Like it's fucking dumb, right? Just because some bitch my age knows the same bands as me doesn't mean she is more habituated, acclimated, and fucking just suitable. The most simple word I can think of for suitable to being in a bond with. Because she
But
isn't. Because she has other fucking issues, right? There's a laundry list of that shit,
yeah,
right? Other
and
men who fucked her over, her dad, whatever. The fact that she's like in her 30s or whatever, and like you know, I will write an essay on this at some point, yeah. And I truly believe this, and I will back it up with my writing. Yeah? I've just not got around to fucking articulating it in a long form prose yet. If you are dealing with any woman over the age of really 23, at most 25, but really, if she's 24, 25, it's not like you're making it harder for yourself. Ideally, she is between 18 and 23. That is when you can like this is when she is trying to learn who she is as a woman. She's building her identity, right? Her brain is still
yeah.
very neuroplastic, and you can have a true outsized impact and imprint on her. You can become the
Hmm.
defining man of her life, and she can become a woman and relate to herself as a woman through how she knows you. Like literally, her becoming as a woman is completely orientated around you as a man at that age.
Yeah,
You cannot replicate this with older women. You cannot
yeah,
you cannot be that deep in a woman's soul with older women. You just can't. You like so what I'm trying to say is 23 is the maximum age where you can be formative for a woman because beyond that she has other experiences. Her brain quite literally is not as receptive to what you're teaching, what you're saying, or whatever.
yeah,
And to go back to what I said earlier, the ancients, right? Or I say the ancients, doesn't it's not just the ancients, right? It's like 100-200 years ago. These motherfuckers were not marrying bitches at like 30, 40, 50. Oh, okay, 50 is an exaggeration. They weren't marrying women at like 30 years old or like 28. You know, they were marrying women at like 18, 19, 22. You know, and they were that age as well. And they weren't always that age. I mean, if you really go back to ancient Greece, they said the optimal age of marriage for a woman is 18. The optimal age of marriage for a man was what was it 35.
hmm,
And the ancients believe this, and I actually still believe that. Now, it doesn't mean you have to have that precise level of age gap. I'm just saying there's wisdom in that. These men take longer to cook.
yeah, 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 yeah. And also, I'll tell you, most guys at 35, like in modern times have less experience than a woman at 23. Like
Like
in life experience,
sexually, yes,
but
definitely.
even not even sexually, just what leads, like for sex to happen, because obviously now there's a,
Mm.
there's a inflation. It's like now they basically can experience shit just because of their sexuality that men will basically only maybe 1 to 3% of men will have done by the time they're 35, just because of the outlay, the financial outlay that is required to basically be exposed to those things. But yes, but I just want to touch on also on a couple of things.
Mm.
Yeah, you said so on the cultural reference point, and it's
Mm.
interesting because we're both based in the UK, right? And it's like I'm
Mm.
French, so obviously there's a bit of a cultural gap with British people, for example, British women. So if I look at the woman that like I I've dealt with and everything, a lot of time they end up with someone relatively similar to them from a socio-demographic perspective, not only just in
Mm.
music taste, and it's
So
something.
dumb.
Yeah, no, I know, and it's like because it's very surface level. But
It
like for me,
is, yeah. You're right.
I mean,
Mm.
I've been 16 years in the UK, and it's like I have a lot of those reference points. But it's like there are subtleties that you can only have as a native. When you look at some of the shows that they make long term, right? What happens is it's like they'll go closer to what makes sense. But what you're talking about romantically, what happens is the less it makes sense, the more love is proven, because the cost of going what makes sense is is willing to be paid, because there's a higher entity than just normal socio-economic and demographic rules. And the last bit I also want to ask, because you touched on so many fucking different points. You know what you were talking about? Basically, past 30 to 23, basically, there's not much neuroplasticity. What
Mm-hmm, yes.
happens? What happens, and what I've noticed is that in order for a girl to to vibe with you on a deeper level than just kind of like friendliness or like even like good chemistry, it's like you have to be more toxic than last toxic relationship. So it's like
Mm.
it's a race to the bomb, and it's possible, but it's like you're gonna lose yourself, and the girl is gonna lose herself as well in this mutual destruction effort, where
It's not worth it.
yeah, exactly. No, but that's it. So yeah,
No.
I just wanted to touch on all those points because they were really really interesting. And
No, you're right. Especially on that last point. There's a. I've written about this so when I say written, I mean in like on my old Twitter account, on the one
yeah,
with
yeah.
like 300,000 followers, right?
Mhm.
So not as like a blog post, but as like Twitter threads. So they're very easy to miss. But there was like hundreds of them on my old account. My old account's locked now, and it's gonna stay locked. I'm never unlocking the old account. There's no point. It's shadow banned anyway, right?
Yeah.
How do I put this? There is an incentive. If your objective is have sex, like literally, right? And I don't say this like I'm just saying this as the truth, right? I'm not
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
this
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the reason I'm prefacing this is because it's not my preference, right? So I'm
Yeah.
speaking the truth against my own preference, right? Because I
Mhm.
value the truth. So the truth
Yeah.
is my preference, but it's not a recommendation. That's what I mean, right?
Mhm.
So this is the truth, and it works, but it's not what I'm recommending to you because I don't like it. I don't like
Yeah.
this truth, but it is the truth, right? And the truth is this: if you optimize for being a narcissistic piece of shit, yeah, you will get much more sex than if you are not a narcissistic piece of shit. So it doesn't mean
100%.
you don't doesn't mean you literally need to develop narcissism as like a personality disorder. No, but if you are arrogant, dismissive, unreasonable, you
Never
insulting,
apologize.
yeah,
Yeah, never
all the, like literally. But these like literally, if you are like a this is like corrosive to yourself as a man because like so in a sexual frame this is getting you what you want, yeah, but your whole
Mhm.
life isn't just fucking. Like you have to
Exactly.
exist outside of fucking. Like you still exist as a man outside of fucking, and it's
Yes.
like I have to be a piece of shit to get sex, you know.
Yeah,
And like
yeah, and
yeah,
it's
go
like
on, go
that.
on,
No, no, because it's like, when people like say, women are a reflection of you, etc., etc. I'm like,
yeah.
nigga.
Be a
I'm
reflection
like,
of them as
nigga.
well.
Nigga. I was basically the most successful with them when I was a fucking piece of shit. And it's
Yeah,
like when you grow out of that fucking
many men
phase
say
and
this.
but
Yeah.
that's it. And it's like, so what is a reflection of woman? And it's like, it's not great. So it's like, if I'm actually like, honestly, like the most decent people, the most decent guys that I've met are not
Mm.
successful with women. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe bar one or two because they know how to alchemize it in a positive way. But
Mm.
the point I'm saying is, it's like, what does that tell you? And it's like those
You know
guys.
what?
Yeah.
I think you don't need to be successful with women in general because women in
Yeah.
general are not worth being successful with.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
you need to
Yes.
find a weird, freaky outlier. Like you need to find an outlier woman who actually cares about the goodness of your soul. And when I say the goodness of your
Yes.
soul, I don't mean that. That doesn't mean you're gay, okay? Because I know the biases of the people listening to me. They're like, oh, what do you mean the goodness of your soul? Oh, you're being gay. Women don't care about. Motherfucker, I was on the red pill in 2013. I know how you think. I can preempt your objections before you even say them to me.
Yeah.
So when I say the goodness of your soul, I mean she genuinely cares that you're a decent human being. Because of like the decay of society and how a lot of women are very arrogant and are very materialistic and transactional, it's very easy to think these women don't exist. You know, like oh, the woman and here's the thing: if you are narcissistic, if you are a piece of shit, you will the majority of women who don't. And by the way, this is also a problem within the woman, right? Women like it's the reason women are attracted to narcissistic men is because they are drawn to dominance, right? Which
Hmm.
is not bad because it's like the polarity between masculine
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
feminine, right? Which is dominant and submissive, masculine and feminine, right? But they are drawn to it without drawing like moral lines. So like if you as a woman, like if you as a woman want a good husband, you should actually care. You shouldn't like yes, you want him to be dominant so he can protect you and he you can't just bully him and he's potent and he can acquire resources and yada yada. Yeah, it's very important. This is valid, right?
Hmm.
In terms of hypergamy, blah 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 blah. This is whatever. But you should actually give a fuck about his morality in terms of he's not just gonna be evil to you because he's in a bad mood, because he has poor self-control, because
Hmm.
he is disordered, because he has resentment, because he has issues, because you're a weaker, smaller woman and you're there and he has some trauma in his past, he's just gonna slap you because why not? Like you should as a woman actually care about the morality. It's like it's almost like people think you cannot be moral and strong. They think if you're moral you're weak, and if you're immoral you're strong. There's like evil is strong and good is weak. That's how people see it. It's like
Yeah.
very and I there is a degree of truth in it, but it's not the complete truth. You can be a savage and be a good person, but it requires nuance, right? So if you're dumb and you want to be strong, just be evil. If you want to be strong and you're dumb, you cannot like nuance and whatever. You cannot like thread the needle. You cannot like do things in ratios to certain percentages. If it has to be 0 or 100 and whatever, then
Hmm.
yeah. If you want to be seen as strong and powerful and dominant, then you have to just be an evil piece of shit. Yeah. But, so I understand that, but it's not a recommendation.
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. Just and yeah. Sorry, you want to add something
Yeah, that's
before
just
I?
I'm exemplifying the principle.
Yeah, and just because your interlocutor has been there, I can say to the people, it's like there's going to be a void you're going to find if you go that route. That void you don't want to have, and it goes back to basically subliming yourself as a man through what you produce, not what you consume. And women are technically to be
Mm,
consumed, and the thing
they
is,
are. They are. Yeah.
but really, and it's like
She
it's
wants to
some.
consume you too, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, the whole attention seeking needy thing, that is a form of consumption. It's a at its best, it's a mutual consumption. But the form of consumption is different.
Yeah, I mean,
We want to consume one another.
uh, yeah, and then
Mutual
trust.
consumption.
Yeah, mutual consent as well, ideally, just saying these.
I mean, it's feeling a little bit feminist now. This.
Hey, you said you love to play devil's advocate. You found your match.
mum, not oh, thank you, but but when I say devil's advocate, not just for the sake of disagreeing for the sake of
No, I
disagreeing,
know, I
but
know.
because I think it's a more useful thing to contribute. Otherwise, I'm
Yes.
just going to agree with you and say, yeah,
No, 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 it's
I
like,
think that's
I
boring for
mean,
the listeners.
100%, because it becomes a circle jerk. And what happens
Mm,
is the biggest leaps you're gonna make in your reasoning, in your intellectual, in how you move forward, right? Like in
Mm,
as well optimizing, and but because you seek the truth, and I'm the same. And if the truth basically does, I
mhm.
don't like the truth, and but I see it, then I have to accept it. And what those
We're
people
all
do,
slaves to the truth. They
yeah,
do. I see. I see the truth as like interchangeable with God in a sense because you cannot escape it. Like I think, like Ayn Rand has a quote, and I'm just paraphrasing, but it's along the lines of it that like it doesn't matter whether you accept the truth or not, you are still subject to it.
yeah.
Like she said it in very different words from that, but that is the essence of
You know,
what she meant.
yeah, there's this French saying, "L'éternel retour du concret," and it's very much Hegelian. So Hegel, like the philosopher. It's like
Mm.
you can ignore the truth long enough, but basically there'll be the eternal return to the truth. Meaning, like, almost like
You
the
can't.
average return to the mean, the return to the mean, basically. Yeah, go on.
The consequences are the consequences. Like your awareness of the truth does not protect you from the consequences of it. Like you are still
Yeah,
subject to it, whether you're aware of it or not. Is totally like look at Western civilization in its current state, denying the truth for how long, and look at the state of things. The kind like low birth rate, fucking just total shit show. Right? People putting their thing. It's like just things will get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until you literally cannot avoid the truth. Like the truth is like, hello, motherfucker, now you need to acknowledge you need to survive because
but
your standard of living will be so low if you don't acknowledge my existence. Okay, you don't like this is also why rich countries become more retarded, not because they lower IQ, right? Because higher, like richer countries are generally speaking, obviously, like not including the Gulf countries because they're just oil rich, right? But
yeah,
like East Asia and like you're like Europe, like and North America, they they have a higher average IQ, right? But higher average IQ doesn't mean wise, doesn't mean they have
hmm,
good social values and stronger families. And that wealth enables a certain level of retardedness because the wealth insulates you from nature's harsh feedback because it's like a cushion, it's
yeah.
like, well, we have money, we're not starving, we don't have, the crime is low, right? And it's like, well, being this retarded, now you have the fucking third world immigrants who are very low IQ and high testosterone and they want to destroy things. And the politicians have brought them in. Now it's not so safe for you, you know? And now your ability to earn money is lower. The crime is higher. It's harder to earn money, right? And this is the trajectory for the average person. Harder to make money, crime is higher. And if you keep applying that pressure, how long can you maintain the current sensibilities? You can't
Because
because they
because
don't. They survive contact with reality. Reality will force you to obey it, whether you want to or not. So it's like if you're left wing, you're kind of. I mean, the current. I don't want to be. It's not like I'm against the left wing or something, but it's like the current version of the left wing. I would say is delusional to the point where you're basically suicidal because you're denying reality. It's not like I'm against two sides. I'm not against
Mhm.
two sides of an argument, but I think the current version of what we would call left wing is it just rejects reality to the point it's suicidal. And they literally have a lower left wing people have a lower fertility rate than right wing people.
Yeah,
They literally
yeah.
reproduce less. So it's like that. What proves the non-viability of a philosophy or way of living more than because we live in this way and believe and act in this way, we literally have fewer children.
Yeah, and think about it this way, right? So like I'm gonna add on to it. So if when you see the rate, the death rate and the birth rate, right? When you have a lower birth rate than a death rate, your population is dying, and that basically is, as you said,
Mm.
sponsored by left wing politics. But if you even look at just what happened with economic surplus that is there to fund the welfare state, welfare state is just another way for saying sponsorship of dysgenics. It
It
really
is.
is.
You're correct. You're correct. But right, here's the thing. Okay, so this is I don't disagree with you. It's a slight pushback, but not really a pushback. But it's I guess it's an elitist pushback, right? So the welfare
Yeah.
state is inherently dysgenic. I agree. But when you don't have immigration, it's dysgenic in the sense that it
Mhm.
is allowing the survival of the lower, the least intelligent portion of your own people.
Yeah.
And when you're open to the world, you're now extending that dysgenics to groups with a lower mean IQ, right? So, like, if we say the mean IQ of the English is 100, right?
Mhm.
16% of English people have an IQ of 85 or less, yeah, roughly speaking.
Mhm.
Now, if you're from, say, India, well, the average IQ is, say, 82, right? That means 50% of your population has
Mhm.
an IQ under 82. But we'll just say 85 for argument's sake, because it makes it easier to make my point. I
Mhm.
can't be bothered doing the precise
Mhm.
calculations, right? So if you have one population where the average IQ is 85 and half the population has, that means half the population has an IQ beneath 85. But in
Mhm.
my country, where I'm from, only 16% of people have an IQ below 85, right?
Yeah.
So you can see per capita, it's like, yeah, we do have retards, but we have fewer retards than you do. And by the way, in terms of raw population numbers, there's over 1 billion Indians, and there's only
Mhm.
like something like 70. I don't know what the precise number is. Like 70, maximum 80 million, because there's unrecorded due to
Yeah, yeah.
migration is unrecorded. But we'll just say, for argument's sake, there's 70 million English people, right? And
Mhm.
only 16% of them would be, say, 80, would be 85 IQ or under. So it's like, yes, the welfare state is inherently dysgenic because it allows the reproduction of the dumb, the people who cannot take care of themselves, yeah. But when you apply that to the third world, or and like, well, it's not to the third world, but it's like, yeah, I guess sort of to, like, basically anyone who, people from the third world who can come to the first world from, and again, not all migration is equal, right? Like, if you're like
Yeah, yeah.
some Brahmin or something, if you're like a very high caste Indian, for example, then you're gonna have a high IQ. You're probably gonna fucking, you're not really gonna be a burden on the system,
Mhm.
right? So literally is dependent on the IQ of the immigrant. But at a population level, yes, if lower IQ populations are mass emigrating to a higher IQ welfare state, and then they are putting burdens on that welfare state, then yeah, we're literally just subsidizing low IQ third worlders off our taxpayer money, which is done. And I mean, and
Yeah.
the thing is, you can see now, like, there's there's huge anti-migrant backlash across
Yeah.
multiple European countries now. Like, the tide is turning. Like, I mean, so like, I think the European Union just a few days ago passed some law which is, but is they are deporting. They want to deport elite. Okay, so it's only illegals, right? So if you're very right wing, you're like, no, we want to deport the legal ones as well that we don't believe should be here, right? But
Mhm.
no, I think the European Union, which is very, very communistic, very Marxist, passed some legislation just a few days ago that was meant to be deporting illegal migrants throughout the European Union. Like, so there's multiple countries, right? Brussels apparently part, and you would not expect those motherfuckers to pass that shit because they're as
Yeah.
left wing as it gets. But if they are passing that kind of legislation, it's highly. There's definitely a shift.
No, and it's very interesting it says is because there was a French intellectual back in the mid 90s called Roland Dumas, not Roland Dumas, another one, I forgot his name, but it was like a bold motherfucker, bearded, and he basically called about the Great Replacement. And back then it was like,
Ooh.
and back
Wait, are
then,
you talking about the guy who wrote Camp of the Saints?
Camp of the Saint. You need
Yeah,
to
it's
give
a
me the
book.
name.
Is it? It's like,
Hold on.
was it
But
Jean or?
no, hold on. Let me just find that right now for you. Give me a sec. Le grand remplacement. Hop là. People can hear my French speaking. Okay. Livre. All right. Let's look at this. Le grand remplacement. Renaud Camus is the name of the author, right? But if you just look at, for example, a guy like Jean-Marie Le Pen in early 2000, he was,
Mm.
he was highly criticized and everything. But if you just look at where people are reactive to reality because they don't want to anticipate it when it has a negative connotation to it, right? It's never
Mm.
good or it's never nice to be like, oh, I don't like this, or this doesn't sound like a great idea. A lot of time people will be like, yeah, we should basically welcome refugees, and say, oh yeah, but they're gonna stay around your neighborhood. Oh, no, 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 not in my backyard, thank you very much. It's
It's
like,
like, yeah, well, it's like all the people, like the politicians or whatever, who are fucking responsible for these policies and vote on these, will all live in, I mean, in American context. We don't really have it in Europe, but in American context, it's like they live in a gated community, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like they don't have to directly experience the consequences of their own policies on a day-to-day level.
yeah,
And they get to virtue signal like, oh look, we're helping they're like escaping war and whatever. And to be honest, a lot of them aren't even fucking escaping wars,
yeah.
you know. And you want to, I want to say something else as well. This is really funny. So one of the arguments, I mean, to me, it's not really an argument. It's just like the rebelliousness, yeah. But one of like the arguments is, well, if you didn't want them to come to your country, maybe you shouldn't have invaded them to begin with. And it's
I
like,
know, right? I know.
but do you know why I find this really funny? Yeah. If I'm powerful enough to invade you, why would I let you come into my country? Like I can destroy your country. Why? So why would I say, hey, I've destroyed your country. Now you can come to my, like, I can literally destroy you, right? So why would
Yeah.
I destroy you and say, come to my house? Like if
I
I
know,
come to
I
your
know,
house
right?
and if I come to your house and destroy your house, would I say, oh, you have nowhere to live now? You want to come back to mine? Like it's retarded. I would say, no, be homeless. Right? That's what I would say. I mean, because I'm
Yeah,
evil. Yeah. So if I'm so evil, I'm destroying your country. Why do I let you come to my country? It makes no fucking sense. They don't
no,
even use their brain. They just
I
like,
know.
well, it's just like a justice revenge thing. It's like, well, you did this bad thing for us, so now we're gonna hurt you in the impotent way that we can, which is your politicians letting us come here. They let you come here. Like, have you seen the power of the Western military? Yeah, if they
Yeah,
didn't want you here, you wouldn't be here. Like you just wouldn't. They let you be here. You're not here because you're powerful and special. You have incredible cunning or whatever. No, we have gay politics here, and we have the corrupt politicians, and they let you be here. They let you be here. You're not here because you're special and powerful or any other stupid bullshit. You're not. But they think they have this weird like revenge fantasy. They're like, oh well, it's because you colonized us. The karma is because you colonized us. Now we will come and colonize. It's like, you're colonized. Like you're destroyed. You're destroyed people with broken morality and all your resources stolen. Yeah. How are you coming to conquer anyone? You're destroyed. Because we
no,
are
yeah.
being gay. Literally, we are being gay. That's why you get to come here. Because we are not because you're powerful, because we are being gay. That's it.
And and to continue and to continue you know your analogy, we're being gay, we invite you here, and we can basically allow you to do the guerrilla tactics that you did when we were trying to invade you, and then you can fuck up
Yeah.
in us in the ass, you know. It's like we're bomb guys here.
we come and rape you, and then we say, "Oh, you can't rape us now. You can't rape our woman. We raped you. Now you can't rape." It's just nonsense, you know. Like
Yeah,
there isn't actually any real morality behind it. It's like there's no real actual karma. You know, obviously it, people who have rightful resentments against the Western military-industrial complex, but I think what a lot of non-Westerners fail to grasp, not all of them, right? But it's that the average Western person, they go, "Oh, you're a democracy." It's like it's not really a democracy. You think the average Westerner is going to the military and saying, "Yeah, go and bomb this country. Yeah, we hate the foreigners. Let's bomb." No, like it doesn't matter what the average Westerner thinks.
hmm
The government and the military will do what they want to do. The democracy is purely this is not real democracy. There's one real democracy in the world. That's called Switzerland. If you want to see a real democracy,
yeah.
go and
I
look at
know,
Switzerland.
I
That
know.
is the only true democracy. We are not democracies at all. We are we're technically constitutional monarchy in the UK, but really it's a plutocracy, which is
Yeah,
rule by the rich. Rule by the rich. That's what it is.
yeah, but
There's no real democracy here.
because it's like there's two type of democracy, right? You have indirect democracy and you have direct democracy. Direct democracy works
Mm.
with more referendums, whereas
Hmm.
when you're talking about,
Yes,
you know, like for
like
example,
cantons in Switzerland, and yeah.
exactly the cantons, right? So the more you like, for example, when France voted against the European Union, I mean the treaty, Lisbon, not Lisbon Treaty, but
The
the
lit-
constitution, the constitutional constitution for Europe, then
mm.
the in an indirect democracy, you can short circuit the thing by just using a lot of fucking, you know, constitutional trickeries in order for you to overrule what the people said directly. And
Mm.
going back to what you were saying about the plutocracy, because when you work in indirect democracy, what happens is you the system gets rotten by lobbies, by
Lobbyists, yeah,
pressure groups.
corruption,
Even just like even just look
NGOs,
at NGOs, all of those people that kind of
George
like
Soros.
the soft power stuff. And if you look at even if you look at, for example, what happened with Iran, right? I mean, at least Iranian people,
Oh,
they don't flood people. They don't flood countries with their people, and when they
no,
do, it's generally for good stuff. They fuck up the economy, you know. It's like at the very least, to be like, you know what? If you want to fuck us, we'll fuck you even harder. But you look at so hold on. What you were saying about it was before the look at the way America like if you Trump was
mm,
literally through Israel put into this conflict, and now he wants to get out of it, and you can
mm.
tell he wants to get out of it. But if the population had to say, hell, fucking no, they wouldn't have gone there. They're not as dumb.
To begin with, yeah,
Yeah,
Americans are not pro helping Israel. I mean, obviously, the Jews, American Jews, will probably be like not even all the Jews, because Jews are not what that there are anti-Zionist Jews,
yeah,
right?
yeah, for
And
sure.
there are pro-Zionist Jews, but yeah, like at a population level, if you put it to a democratic vote, shall the United like if you had a direct democracy in the United States and you said, shall we help the Israeli, and you put that to a vote, the US would not help the Israelis, quite simply, because the people would not vote for it. As retarded as they are, like you, even if you spent like a lot of money on marketing and like propaganda, like, oh yeah, the Jews need our help, and you did all these like campaigns and shit, and you had ads and well, yeah, okay, maybe you can increase a couple of percentage points, right? But I still think that the majority, like on a very primitive, basic level, say you're like a 90 IQ American, you'd think, who the fuck are these Israelis? We don't want to be sending our boys and our money to
Yeah,
them. It's like they don't care. Like who? Why are we spending resources on foreigners? It's not our business. Leave them alone. Like that's the simple thought, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's how like a very
But what's
tribal,
but what's
lower
very
IQ person
interesting.
would think.
But
Yeah, sorry, go on.
but what's very interesting and what happened in that trend, right? So like obviously about 70% of American they tend to be like like those Protestant
Mm,
evangelists, which have a
hmm
very close proximity to the Jewish question, right? I mean the Israeli question. But if
mm.
you look at the trend of how Israel over time has lost its influence and marvel on people because of YouTube, because of social media and everything, they went from basically, in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, from a plus 45, positive, view on
Approval.
approval on Israel, and now we're talking at a +1 on Palestinian after what happened recently.
Purely in terms of propaganda war, it's been terrible for them. Yeah, like people are more sympathetic to the Palestinians than the Israelis. Like, yeah, even left wing. I mean, obviously, the hardcore left
Left
wing
wing.
people are still pro-Israel, but yeah, like in terms of like Israel's like should we say media marketing on the global level, this has been a very bad war.
Because they don't curtail who basically goes on MNSBC, CBS, BBC, whatever. Because when the media was mostly mainstream media, they had a
Mm,
handle on it. And now
yes.
because it has been the communication has been democratized, people can film shit, whatever. Things basically are out of their control.
So I think for all the whores listening to the show, me and the French are monitoring the situation.
It's funny. It's funny because it's been so long. I've not been looking at geopolitics or international relations because obviously my background telling
Yeah,
you, so I'm a diplomat and everything.
yeah.
And it's like, and only now, like Ukraine conflict, I was like, yeah, whatever, like it's like it was like what, like I was like Syria, like it was a bit interesting, but once you kind of like map out the general problematics within the different region, it's kind of like there's not much something new. But what really changed in that situation was the fact that for 20, 25 years, Iran has been on neocons and Zionist slants, but nobody was dumb enough to go and basically trying to attack Iran, right? Until
Mm,
Trump. And
yeah.
now it's like it has really reshuffled the card. And if you look at it from a perspective of power shift and realpolitik, this to me will be the end of the American unipolarity. because they are depleting their military forces because it's too fucking expensive for them to run at this rate.
Yeah, and it's like, so the US by a significant factor has the most superior military in the world, right? Like all of NATO, right? Across multiple metrics, like number of helicopters, jet fighters, whatever.
Mhm,
I think the only variable on which I'm not 100% on this, but if there is a single variable in which NATO surpasses the US, it would be on number of land tanks, and that's
mhm,
because the US, given its geography,
mhm.
North America is essentially, it doesn't really have any land enemies, so it doesn't,
Yeah,
like what are you going to do? You're going to airlift tanks across the world? Like, sure, you can do that, but like the US is primarily like an air force based like aircraft carrier, so it's the Navy and the Air Force, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
predominantly like, it's not really like land battles. So it's like, like the Germans, they have a shit ton of tanks, whatever. Point being is the US has the most sophisticated military in the world, but funding that costs a lot of money, and maintaining
exactly.
that costs a lot of money. Every time you fire a missile costs X number of fucking dollars, right? So it's like, I've read about this before, like the economic warfare aspect of military warfare. So it's like, if motherfuckers can attack you with cheap drones and you're firing like $1 million missiles in a protracted enough conflict, you are bleeding your own treasury to fight this war. The it shows the asymmetry of economics in military warfare. I think that's what you were getting at. It's like, yeah, the
Yeah,
US
yeah,
is the most powerful military force, but the hardware is expensive as fucking shit, and money's not unlimited. Now, the counter argument to that is the United States dollar is still the world reserve currency, and the Fed can still print shit. And of course, that means if you're a homeowner, your little shit box you bought in a crap part of town that was like 20K 30 years ago is going to be like 400K next
yeah.
year, right?
We're talking from experience in Britain, the jilted generation, but
Yeah, it's very
but,
true. It's true.
but,
That's
but
very true in Britain as
so,
well. Yeah.
no, it's so funny because when I hear like boomers or even Gen X be like, "Oh, you just have to work hard enough, motherfucker." The multiple between your yearly income to the fucking price of a average median property back then was 3x. Now we're talking about 10x or
It's like
more, right?
9, 10x. Like in cities like London, it's even more than that.
Yeah,
Like
and,
if you live in a major city, it's more. It's like that 9x figure that's given is like averaged out across normal cities, normal like towns across the country. London's on. I think London's probably like 14x or something stupid.
yeah, I mean,
Or like Hong Kong, London, Singapore,
yeah.
major
Same
fucking
fight,
cities.
same fight, same fight. And but to do the counter argument when it comes to the reserve currency, when you think
Mm,
about it, right? What
mm.
is one of the cornerstone of the reserve currency for the for the US dollar is a
The military
petrodollar, right?
and the military.
The military and the military that protect the Gulf states, right? So basically, if if the longer America stays there, the more it will cost. And it's like, unless they're willing to use the nuclear power, and even then, I'm not even sure that the Iran are just going to go there and they're going to fight till death, right? Even if they're not going to use that, they're going to lose the petrodollar because they're going to lose the bases. And then what happens is, if you don't have the petrodollars, there's no even incentive to transact in dollars. Therefore, it's like, at the very, very least, it undermines the reserve currency status of the dollar.
I think I read slash heard somewhere that I think the Saudis are already directly transacting with the Chinese without using the dollar. Like they're accepting like renminbi or whatever. The Chinese have two currencies. They have like an they have a currency for internal affairs and a
Mhm.
currency for external affairs. And the reason they do this is because they're cunning motherfuckers. It's to do with like making their export goods affordable to foreigners by having two separate currencies, and then also controlling inflation domestically. So they literally split the currency in two, which in a way I've not heard of literally any other country doing. It's like the United States does not have like an internal dollar and an external dollar, and segregate them in ways so that
That
foreign influences don't affect the currency.
Yeah. And think of, even when you think about this, right? The longer they'll basically invest money in that war, and the longer they'll be, because it takes a lot of maintenance. Anything that has to do with aircraft carriers, even
Yes,
fighter
yes.
jets. And it's like, and you're touching upon that because the U.S. is mostly a thalassocracy with air force power, and you're looking at the way they function with war is very much shock and awe. It's very much like, oh, we're gonna bomb shit with our fighter jets. We're gonna, basically we can annihilate a small country with our aircraft carriers. But really, it's like if you're talking about a asymmetric type of warfare with economic underpinnings, it doesn't matter, especially for people for countries that have something that have long-term civilization and that will not fucking fight. You see Israelis live in bunkers and they take flights. Motherfuckers in Iran, they ain't living in bunkers. They're walking around there, and it's like, even though they might be bombed, but look at what's gonna happen. Who's gonna fucking protect Taiwan with the Chinese? It basically with the US. So all of this, right? NATO is completely irrelevant. So you look at all of these factors and you're like, well, where America is going to be going forward? It's like if your
Yeah,
military
it can't be everywhere at once. It can't be everywhere at once. Yeah, and it's like if they want to protect their interests in Asia Pacific, they probably need 1-2 aircraft carrier strike groups within the Pacific region just to guard like Taiwan and Guam and Japan from the Chinese. And I mean, the thing is, this is the Chinese boast that, and the Chinese are building artificial islands in the South China Sea to extend their territorial claims, right? So it's like I can't remember like the specifics, but it's like wherever your land is, like there's a certain number of nautical miles from
Mhm,
your land that you can claim, but the
mhm.
Chinese keep building artificial islands within their own territory to extend their land. So it's like that push. If you think of like a video game, they're like pushing out the radius by. They keep building like on the out, like on the boundaries of their current territory. They'll like build a fake island. Well, it's a real island, like it exists, but like it's an artificial island, so it's not a naturally occurring island. So they,
Yeah.
they put all the sand in there or whatever. They form an island, and then now that island is there, and it's within their territory. It extends the boundary of their territory. So they're like pushing out their territory more and more and more and more. Like legally, this is legal. Like by international law, it's legal, but it's like this is like the quote unquote loophole they found. And on all these islands, all they do is build a fucking military infrastructure. And why are they building that? To invade Taiwan, to intimidate the Philippines, and to undermine American influence in the Asia Pacific region. Now, you could say, why are white people from the other side of the world trying to have a significant um, military presence within the Asia Pacific region? The Chinese are native to the region. Europeans were Europeans there, right? And then that, like that, I actually think that's actually a valid it doesn't.
I
Should
think
not.
I think what you just said here. What what the Chinese did, they just used the Israel playbook with the West Bank and Cisjordania. It's like it's like if you just look at it from that perspective, and
Yeah.
but more like if you just look at it, it's smart. But when I look at fucking Russia, or even if I look at China, those are fucking
Mm.
leaders. And if you look at
Yeah,
how
that's
the
true.
world, it's like
Yeah.
Putin is fucking smart. He's outplaying Trump on every fucking field right now. Like literally, he's been patient enough to realize that Trump will just fucking fuck himself up. And Xi Jinping, I'm sure that basically, even though he says we're not involved in this shit, he's helping he's back channeling with the fucking Iranian to basically give them whatever satellite they need, in order to, anticipate whatever the U.S. next move is. But what I'm finding so interesting is that what it shows with Russia and China is that the model of liberal democracy that has governed most of, late 20th century, early to the 21st one, is becoming less and less relevant. Not so much in terms of what are your natural resources. Of course, it's going to help, but what is the
Mm.
actually right mode of governance to get shit done? How can you get shit done in
Mm.
the US when every 2 years you're going to have midterms that's going to change and flip the fucking script?
You're right. Yeah, yeah. Like 4 year fucking election cycles are shit for governance because instead of thinking long term on what's best for the interest of the people, they think about what makes us look good. Like basically, if you can look good in your term and leave an absolute shit show for the guys who come in next, like that's the flaw of the system, right? It's like as long as we look good while we're here,
Yeah.
and we don't have to face like, if you don't keep power, you don't have to face the consequence. It's like the consequences of your policies may not occur immediately, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
for example, like Biden policies on migration, right, allowed
Mhm.
many immigrants to come in. But let's say the consequences of that are fully felt under Trump. They can say, well, when Biden was in, there were fewer migrants coming in, but now since Trump's been in, there's more migrants coming in. So actually, Biden was more anti-migration than Trump is. And it's like, yeah, but this is the bullshit. This is the bullshit. This is how they try to trick you, yeah? But it's like, so you think that the very second Trump walked in the White House, all the migrants were like, oh, Trump's in the White House. Let's all cross the border. No, it's the consequence of policies that were implemented 2 years ago that are quote unquote I say this in a very ironic way, bearing fruit. Yeah, they're not bearing fruit. If it's bearing fruit, it's a very rotten fruit. Yeah, but it's the consequences of the previous administration's policies. But because the effects of that are felt under the time frame of the current administration, it gets blamed on the current administration, and this is the flaw of 4-year election cycles.
Yeah, but
This, you want a leader who's planning, like, this is actually like with Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore, that motherfucker expected to rule that country for his entire life. So he was thinking 20, 30 years ahead. Long-term planning is superior in all things, whether it's your country, your fucking wife, your business. If you think your business is going to fail in 4 years, how do you think you're going to manage it compared to if you think your business is going to be here in 20 years? Your business may fail in 4 years, right?
yeah, but
But if it fails in 4 years and you are planning for 20, and it fails in 4 years and you are planning for 4 years, so if you're planning for 4 years and it fails in 4 years, you can say, oh well, I'm a very expert fucking predictor of things because I said 4 years. Oh look, but it's like, but are you the reason it failed that quick? Like, is this a self-fulfilling prophecy? Are you? But if you're planning long term and it fails, then you gain the lessons and it fucking fails. The point is you did your best and you did not sabotage yourself. Right? But if you are planning short term and then you only get short term, what can you like? What can you fuck? You're always gonna have the doubt in yourself. Well, am I actually the reason? Or not the whole reason, but a significant reason. Like, could this have lasted longer if I had planned for longer? See, I'm generally and genuinely biased towards long term planning. Because just because something fails and doesn't work long term doesn't mean long term planning is not worth it. But if you're only doing short term, you're literally saying, I don't believe this could ever be possible or viable long term. I only think in short durations. And then what does that say about yourself as a person? So if you think that about everything else, what about you? Are you viable long term to yourself?
no, and I'll use two examples, right? I mean, one example, and kind of like I'll riff off as a general rule is in that one example. Look at China. It's
Yeah.
like look at what Deng Xiaoping did. That they went from a fucking Maoist cultural revolution to becoming, through long-term planning, the fucking superpower it has become. Obviously, demographic, natural resource helps, but it's about they not taking.
Espionage. Don't forget the espionage.
Yeah, but again,
The 1,000 Talents program, the
yeah,
spies, the
yeah, but
infiltrating Western universities, the 4-dimensional warfare.
and also they're very fucking intelligent. Oh, that does help too, right? Same thing as Israeli. Israeli is fucking intelligent as fuck, right? And that's why they
The
kind of
Ashkenazis within the Israelis, yes, they are intelligent, and the Chinese, the Han are a fairly intelligent race. They've genetically selected for intelligence. Probably a lot of listeners probably will not know this, so I'll just share it. The common trend between Ashkenazi Jews and the Han Chinese is they both have a history of rewarding high IQ men with wives with reproductive rights. So what we have in the West right now is, oh, you're a nerd. So if you're a nerd, you're a clever man, you're on a cultural, so not on a money level. So if you make more money because you're smart, you're gonna get more women, right? Everyone understands that. But on like an aesthetic level, in terms of respect, you're not respected for being smart. If your intelligence brings you success, then you're respected for your success, not for your intelligence, even if the intelligence brought the success. So Westerners in the current state of things are not really. I'm not speaking of outliers. I'm speaking on like the general society level. They are focused on success, like what have you achieved, and that is what constitutes attraction. But like with the Ashkenazis, it's like rabbis had they had the pick of the women, and to become a rabbi, you had to pass very difficult exams, which
Mm,
selects for higher IQ as a man. So you're selecting for high IQ men, and then those men become rabbis, and then the rabbis have more wives and children, and that pushes up the IQ over many generations. Pushes up. This is like a crude explanation, right? But this is why Ashkenazi Jews, in a very crude sense, have a higher IQ. It's the same with the Han Chinese. They respect. It's like a it's eugenics
bro.
without gassing people. You know,
No,
it's like
look, and look at the contrast. It's like this genics liberal democracy versus eugenics, race race sponsorship, and
well,
but. And just want to say something about, like when I was
mm,
telling you about when you were telling about the politician, just everybody, doing 4-year plans every fucking time. Think about even the sexual
yeah,
marketplace, right? Sexual marketplace. Politicians in the West are like players. They basically just fluff,
mm.
they fluff the population
You're
before
right.
fucking them
You're
over.
right. Yeah, yeah.
And it's
They're
like,
like, well,
and
we're like, we get new bitches from other countries. We don't need you. We get the third world bitches to come here. Fuck you. You know.
we're running a rotation of population, right? So bitch be, bitch be humble.
The politicians are running away. You know what's
And,
funny? It fits.
well, that's what she said, but I am. Just,
Double
you
fit.
know, yeah, that's what, just, but
Oh,
anyway,
that's
but
funny as shit.
the
They're
fucking
having it's illegal for us to have this much fun. The British police will come and arrest us for saying bad
oh,
words.
but well, that's actually a very good thing. How about we fucking set up a country, right? A Frenchman and a British, and it's like, and we create, okay, lads. So, okay, lads. So you come to this country, right? But we want to sponsor very high IQ people, right? So if you are high IQ, we're gonna basically give you more women, right? And then all the high IQ come in. They basically create the economy that basically is self-sustainable. By definition, there's gonna be low crime because it's gonna be high IQ, and you're like, and then you get all, and it becomes a new Dubai, all right, the new Dubai. So I mean, maybe there's a policy on ethics and and decency, but in terms of
you
how can we, you're gone.
you can make a point that if you care about ethics and decency, you would still select for high IQ, because if there's lower criminality amongst low IQs, and let's say you are, by the way, I don't think all violence is bad. I think violence is necessary, but I think in a select way, right? So it's not like violence should not be like the default inclination. But if you're dealing with like retarded people who do not care about logic, then you need to be violent, because
Mhm.
does some retard want to listen to you explain things to him, or is he just going to get annoyed with you? He's gonna get annoyed with He's gonna get annoyed, right? If you try to explain philosophy to a guy on the street late at night who's drunk, you just retard. You need to smack him, you know.
Or just my misogynistic hat here, or just trying to mansplain to a woman what she's doing is self-sabotage. Good luck. You don't do
I
that.
don't believe I reject mansplain as a word. I don't think it's a
No,
real
no, I
word.
know, I
I
know.
think it's like
I agree.
I know
I
you're
agree.
being
I agree. But
facetious, but it's like literally these fucking they hate men so much that they had to make men explaining things a bad thing. And it's like, if a man is a real piece of shit, why would he want to explain anything to you? Like, I like to play devil's advocate, not just within this context, but just with people's preconceptions. Yeah. So like the feminist preconception, or not even like a lot of women, they don't think they're a feminist, but they hate men. Yeah. So
yeah.
whether you have read all the feminist literature and you're some high IQ bitch who has some sophisticated reason, you read it all, and but yeah, I think this is valid. They make very good points. Whatever, whether you're this woman or you just hate men, right? It doesn't matter. It's to me, it's all the same. I recognize the distinction exists, but functionally, it's irrelevant, right? So if you think that all men are fucking just pieces of shit as a woman, then you're well, I mean, you're fucking yourself over. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm getting
No, no, go
distracted
on,
now
go on. No,
because
no, no, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on.
I'm just thinking about I was the thing that's haunting me now. It's not really haunting me, but
Yeah.
it's like we are meant to listen to people who Okay, so I do not think reproducing is the end all and be all of life. It's
Yeah,
not,
agreed.
right? But at a population level, if your way of thinking stops you from reproducing at a group level, we are just enduring you till you die off. Because you won't have enough kids, and it's like, even if you do, will your kids listen to you when you're the minority? When you're like the small minority, like, is there enough value within what you're saying that other people truly buy into it?
Think about it this way, and then you touched a very good point. So what you're saying is like you're saying multiculturalism as based on the increasing different influence from, let's say, an homogenic society, is not only
Mm,
completely replacing you from, let's say, the obvious racial optics, but it's also replacing you from an underlying meta in terms of mindset, in terms of, because think about it this way, why are so many people lost these days? Because all the, let's say, landmark structure that used to shape people's mind have been
mhm,
completely eradicated.
mhm,
Therefore, it's like you're working within a marketplace of ideas, obviously with social media, just sponsor even more, that it's
mhm,
almost like you can only rely upon the self, and that's why self-improvement has become such a big thing, to help you navigate the world, because the structure, the family structure, the traditional
mhm. The
spirit,
institutions, yeah.
exactly, have been undermined to the point where, to the feeble-minded, you are most likely going to be exploited for capitalistic purposes, or ideological opportunity, and you
Mm,
end up in a
yes,
situation.
both. Yeah.
Exactly. So you end up in a situation where, a very entropic one, where the women are being pushed into becoming infertile
Pause.
spinster. Yeah, I was. I'm not going to complain too much about them, because they're doing a service to some level of the population. But
Right. Okay. Okay. So on the subject of the on the topic of the place of prostitution within
Mhm.
society, I do think there is a, intellectually speaking, at a civilizational level, I think there will always be men who will lack the inherent, should we say, spiritual prowess, testosterone, all these things. They just can't really get women, but they still horny and they want to have sex, right? And then
Yeah,
also, and there's lazy men who just, they don't care about intimacy and proving themselves, that they know they can get a woman, but they don't want the hassle, they don't want the conversation, they just want to fuck, right? So
yeah.
there's multiple use cases for
Hmm.
prostitution, and like ancient Rome had prostitutes, right? So it's not like I'm advocating for prostitution. I don't think we should all fuck prostitutes. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think there's a place for prostitution within society, and I think that should be, like, maybe say maximum 10% of women can be prostitutes, right? But
Yeah.
when you want to normalize it, it's like, so 1 in 10 women, one is a whore. Yeah, if you meet 10 women and 5 are a whore, you're having a very
You see, that's what you're talking about. In France, we have something called the numerus clausus, meaning by that there's only a certain amount of doctors that you can intake each year. So because in order to not overflow flow the system with things, so obviously you're up for you're sponsoring for something that is a bit more like, like girls. It's like this is a selective path that you can only get if you're hot enough and actually emotionally intelligent enough to do it. But because there's also another thing that maybe the audience don't
if
know,
you've not
that
resolved your daddy issues by 24 and you're hot, you can be a whore. Yes,
yeah,
correct.
okay. But I, like, I managed one, just more on the security side. But anyway, when I was
Mm,
younger, and
mm.
what she was telling me, that basically most of her clients are actually married men.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. This is really fucked up because, like, so assuming they're Christian, it doesn't matter. They can be Christian or Muslim. Actually, it doesn't matter which
Hmm.
one. The scripture literally says that you have a spiritual obligation to sexually service your spouse.
Hmm.
Because if you're not having sex with your spouse, who are you having sex with? It's like, it's a duty.
Your hand, yeah.
It's a literal duty. It's a literal duty, right? If you are a wife, yeah, you are fucking, God is saying you got to give your husband pussy. Yeah,
Yeah.
but what is the cultural stereotype? Sorry to hear, man. You married, that's why you're not getting laid anymore, right? Like it's
Oh,
the
yeah.
opposite of like literally fucking. It's the opposite of what the scripture is saying. Scripture is saying, do not deny your spouse.
Yeah.
Like try to fulfill your spouse's requirements, which is like sexual requirements, right? Very
Mhm.
explicitly says this, but the cultural perception is, oh well, you're married, hey, you're not going to get sex anymore. Like, why is there such a discrepancy between these two things? Like, because marriage has been disconnected from marriage now, like at least in the Western secular
Yeah, yeah,
context,
yeah.
is some weird. The funny thing is, right? We speak about how easy divorce is, right? But
Mhm.
marriage as a concept, as an institution in
Mhm.
current Western context, is divorced from its origins, from its religious origins. Are most people marrying in the West now really
Mhm.
thinking about the religious implications? Do they even connect the two? No, they just think, oh, we just get married. But why are you getting married? For example, what I would like to do if I want to be like very provocative, yeah, I will
Mhm.
go to like the average person who does not believe in God, or maybe let's say, I'll be a bit nicer. Let's say they believe in God, but they're not really very religious. But they have some vague appreciation for God or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. Why do you want to be married? Why? But is it for legal convenience or something? Okay, so like for bureaucratic reasons, maybe
Mhm.
if you care about this person and in the hospital, you would like the doctor to not say you can't come into the room. Okay, that's a good reason, right? But it's
Mhm.
like beyond these very niche scenarios, and let's face it, this person probably isn't going to be in hospital most of the time. Is like,
Yeah.
why do you want to be married? Why is marriage important to you? Marriage is two things. It's a religious, on a spiritual, well, on a spiritual level, not even a religious level, on a spiritual level, it's about the merging and union of souls as two people who want to become one entity, as in
Yeah.
like truly merged at the deepest
Mhm.
possible fucking level. Which, by the way, most people don't experience, right? So
Yeah.
that's number one. And then secondly, in a religious context, it's like, well, we are like combining resources. Your family is joining with my family, and we are like becoming allies. And we
Mhm.
will do that through having children together and sharing a house together, right? And there's like the metaphysics around that of the religion, the
Mhm.
teachings, like how you should treat your spouse. So
Yeah.
you should generally, whether if you're a husband or a wife,
Mhm.
whoever your spouse is, you have to treat them better than almost like basically, you have to treat them. The only thing you treat better than your spouse is God, right? And you know what I hate about this? The women who
Yeah.
don't want to treat the husband well will say, "Yeah, but I'm giving that treatment to God." But it's like, if you fucking read the scripture, you would know God is literally telling you to treat your husband well, and you say the reason I'm not treating my husband well is because I'm worshiping God. I would not worship a man in the way that I worship God. It's like, yeah, but God's telling you to worship your man. You're a fucking piece of shit.
No, that's the issue with marriage, because marriage has become more like, like, in a sense, when you hear, for example, people say, "Oh, find my person," right? And it's
Mm,
like,
mm,
uh, to me, it's like you're looking at the deification of an individual at the expense of the higher entity, because you're not you want like the full stack shit, when actually you don't
mm.
appreciate other for, because like true love is actually appreciating someone not only for what good they have, but also
The
find
bad.
the bad almost quirky.
Everything.
Eh, eh, and and
Everything.
and it's like, and then because expectation is generally the recipe for manage disappointment,
Mm,
you
mm.
you 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 set yourself a failure because you expect someone to fit all of your. It's like Tetris. You have to fit
Yeah.
all of your lines perfectly.
The shape, yeah.
It's like,
This
no,
is
go on.
wrong. Yeah, this is wrong. If you want true love, like you obviously have guidelines. So guidelines is just like common sense, right? It's like you
Yeah.
don't want someone who treats people badly, right? Like, that's just common sense. It's not like I'm forcing you into a shape. It's literally I have some standards. There's a
Yeah.
difference between like moral standards for a like for example, say you don't want a retarded bitch. Say you want to have good
Yeah.
conversations. So you cannot be low IQ, okay? And I don't want you to be evil. That doesn't mean I'm like pushing you into like a certain mold. It's just a base level of standards. But no, I understand what you're
Mm,
saying. It's like the people have a very. You're saying the opposite. You're saying people have a very specific idea and a pre-established template, and then they exclude anything that is not within the pre-established idea or concept that they have built up, which is just actually not very. The
eh,
standards are
eh, eh,
okay.
yeah.
Standards are normal, but you have to know the difference between standards and I have created a fantasy, and anyone who is not the fantasy is invalid. So it's so to be even more, how should I say, to
Hmm.
be even more useful. It's not about expectation. It's about It's about appreciation and orientation, right? So if someone is not evil, like let's just say two simple things. Yeah, are they dumb? And are they evil? If they're not, and I'll be more specific on the evil as well. Yeah, so they can be dark, they can be ruthless,
Hmm.
they can be they can have destructive power. I'm not saying they must be harmless,
Hmm.
but what I am saying is, do they like to be cruel and hurt? Right? There's a
Hmm.
different thing. So you can be dark and destructive and have potency and yada yada yada. But it doesn't mean you want to go around like just hurting people for fun, right? These are like different things. So you have to establish at a very base level: is this person clever enough to be stimulating to me, and that I would actually want them to genetically contribute to my child? That's number one. And number two, do they care about being a good person? Do they care about the truth,
Hmm.
and do they care about being good? And
Yeah.
these are like the very basics.
Eh,
And
eh,
if you establish this, everything else is just like details.
Yeah, and it's very much basically. I'll sum it up as good faith versus bad faith, right?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
and also it's very interesting because and that kind of like is going to loop back to what we are talking about the red pill or even this whole idea of vetting, right? Like,
Mm.
like I find sometimes people lack actual experience and is they're talking out their ass in the sense of like you don't vet someone just over the first date type of shit. Like you can't. It's like first of all,
Pattern
you require
recognition.
no, it's like yes, you can find some pattern, like you'll get like little bits and bobs of information, right? And obviously, if you have a lot of experience, you can very quickly draw and use your intuition almost as a guide. But
Mhm.
vetting, like vetting, quote unquote, happens over the time that you actually know a person. The person that you knew on date one will most likely show their best self is actually not really the true person. Or even if you
Yeah,
ask some
you're
specific
right.
question, what is the likeliness that you have someone that has the self-awareness to actually know the ins and out of what she's good or or what he's or good or not good about or she's not good about? Very little. So it's like not only does it require discernment, with most people don't have, but on the you as an individual from a vetting perspective, but it also requires discernment on the other person to actually know who the fuck they are, and most people are fucking lost. They don't know who the fuck they are. So yeah, go on. Yeah,
Outliers need to be your outliers. That's number one.
yeah, yeah.
If you're gonna be with a regular man or woman, doesn't matter. Literally, if you're outlier woman and if you're a fucking genius woman who has introspective capacity and you're with some regular man who likes going gym and he cannot track your interior emotional state or understand abstractions or whatever, or I mean, yeah, okay, he can get some abstractions, but your full nuance, like 60%, 70% of you is invisible to him, you're not going to be happy, right? You're just not. And the reverse is true for a man. You know, if you want to have like, you know what? I have a lot of men. They said to me, they're like, why do you want to have meaningful conversations with your wife? That's what your bros are for. It's like, but I can't fuck my bros, you know? Like, what if I want to have meaningful conversations in bed? You know, I'm gonna ring up my bro next to, you know, it's like, I think it's like a cope, you know, it's like a
Yeah,
compartmentalization for men who've accepted lesser women who are obedient to them. They're like, yeah, well, you know, my solution is I can have a good conversation with my bro. So literally, the person you are gonna breed with, you don't need to have a good conversation with. Like, what the fucking insanity is
Okay,
this?
okay. Okay. So there's actually and that's two things that so it's quite funny because we were talking about the age gap, right? Before.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
going
We should
and
go back to that because it pisses people off.
yeah, no. But listen to this. Listen to this. So for me,
Yeah.
I feel like I've been a very much of a sociological entrepreneur from dating
Mm,
perspective. So bear in mind, right? I never really thought I was that intelligent. Really, I was a bit opportunistic and all this, and then I basically entered social media, and I realized that the average intelligence is very low. But if you just look at like the girls that I've been with, so it's like generally people say, "Oh, you attract who you are." Well, I'm like, well, I attracted from the basic fucking hairdresser in Essex to the fucking C level at a fucking let's say 500 million plus company. So I've been like, or even like academics. So I'm like, I am very stretched, shall we say? And if I look at the way, yeah,
that's that, you know what you even you're like that's a bad word.
yeah. It's like I'm like, you know,
You're
let's say
stretched. I'm like,
I've tasted all the ice creams, maybe not from a racial perspective, but at least from an intellectual perspective. And what I've noticed is when I was younger and had more energy, I was like, I don't mind dealing with dumb people, right? And I was like, because I've done myself down, I enjoy myself, and now I've got lesser energy. It's an energy tax on me. I can't do it. But it's less about conversation so much that the person understands you. Obviously, you want to. It's nice to have because it's like sometimes you'll just do stuff that you, as an intuitive person, just consider
mm,
is just natural. But the person, say for example, is not as intuitive or is not as switched
mm,
on. They will construe it completely differently, and it creates more and more hassle and misunderstanding and potentially arguments. And I'm not saying you can't have any arguments, but if you always function on different frequency over the long run, it's not possible. And because what you were saying with Lauren on that space, I was thinking about it, right? And I'm like, for example, I don't very well with Lauren, we're a very good friend, but I'm just like, it's fucking nice to deal with someone that is like, know as much, or in some situation more so than you, and you're like, "Ah, that's great." And it's yeah, go on.
I'm okay. Basically, for women and you okay. So a lot of high IQ women, they are very argumentative, right? So what you need
Yeah.
what you need is a high.
EQ as well. You need to have EQ and IQ.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, EQ is really derivative of IQ, right? And the reason I think this is
Mhm,
because the capacity to so the difference. Okay, so to make the distinction, right? You
mhm,
can be high IQ and have low EQ. So what does that mean? It means you have good cognitive hardware, like genetically,
mhm.
but you're not very good at mapping people, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
EQ is really just I'm good at mapping people. But are you
Mhm.
going to be good at mapping people if you have a low IQ? So no, but there obviously so like the whole it's the street smarts book smarts thing, right? So
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
someone who has a lot of experience but is a lower IQ, because they have much more experience, they will be able to read people better than someone who has a
Mhm.
much higher IQ, but they're not on the streets, they're not like approaching people,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not doing negotiations or sales. Maybe they are reading, they're in more insular, introverted life. So but if you take that person, this person we are saying who is not as street smart, if you take them with their IQ and you put them in the same scenarios and situations as the lower IQ person with the higher EQ, they will surpass them because of
Yeah.
they have the genetic capability to do so, but they have not been placed in the situations that allow them to. Whereas the other person who is a lower IQ with a higher EQ, with a higher EQ, if you put them in academia, they're not going to become an astrophysicist, right? So
Yeah.
there is,
There's a
it's like,
ceiling. There's a ceiling. There's a ceiling. The
yes,
IQ sets
yes.
a ceiling, and the only
It's like you know, right?
push.
You know,
Yeah,
computers. They have like
yeah,
processors and RAM and shit.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
you have like a $2,000 PC or $5,000 PC, 10,000 or euros, pounds, whatever currency you want to use, whatever. Right? Fucking, it's like the hardware set. Like it's like the software on the computer says what the computer can do, but the hardware within the computer sets the hard limit of what that
yeah.
software can do. You can optimize the software, but it's within the confines of the hardware. The same is true of people. Your
Yes,
brain is the fucking hardware. You can
yes.
change the wiring in your brain. You can make it more efficient. You can improve your recall. There are certain things you can do. You can become. functionally smarter than you are, but within the limitations of your genetics. And people hate hearing that. But it's the truth. If you care about the truth, you have to fucking accept it. It just is what it is, right?
Yeah. No, but like you know, I'll use a personal example, right?
Mm,
It's like if I look at my ability when it came to physics, I was fucking shite. And I knew
mm,
no matter how much I put in work, I would not beat like some of some of the other people. But if I look at my verbal dexterity, accuracy, and everything, I knew I was way
mm,
better than them. Like it's
mm.
you have to appreciate that you come with a tool set, and some of your within that tool
Yes.
set you'll be better than others. And just want to say at the end, about the age gap, right? To
Yeah.
tie in with that was the
We
age
should talk.
gap.
Yeah. Man, I love talking about age gap. Let's talk about
Okay,
age gap. I'm all for
so
it.
so it's like when say I'm using extreme examples, right? But like
Yeah. Yeah.
let's say like when say you deal with people with like you can have like 7 to 10 year age gap. There's not gonna be much discrepancy.
Only. Only.
But let me oh, no. But you can be dealing with 20 years age gap if the
Mm,
person on the other end is an outlier. Because I look at
yes. Yeah.
I look at myself. Funny story for the guys out here, right? When I was like 18 to 21 and everything, hey, I was dealing mostly with MILFs, and so much so that my friend, so
You
much so
connected
that my
more of them.
yeah, with schoolgirls and MILFs, so much so that my friends, the boys, right? They didn't want to invite me back to their place because they didn't want to see me in the morning with their mother and we're eating breakfast. That's what I'm saying. It's like the problem I had was a bit like the same like my father. It was like I was
Mm,
too mature for the people of my age, back at my age, but that basically made it much more possible for me to have relationship with older women, right?
mm.
And it's like
The reverse is
it,
true as well.
exactly right.
High IQ, say a high IQ 20-year-old woman, right?
Hmm.
Say you have 145 IQ and you're a 20-year-old woman. Do you want to be with the average 20-year-old man? You don't.
Yeah, but
For one, even if a man has the same IQ as you and he is your age,
mhm.
men are roughly about, in terms of like maturity. So how would I define maturity outside of intelligence? I would say
Wisdom through experience.
ruthlessness, yeah, wisdom, experience, insight, accurate maps of reality, and like spiritual potency. Men are
Hmm.
about 3 years behind women. So when people say like all these fucking retarded feminist bitches online, they're like, oh, well, you want to date guys the same age. So if you're 25 and he's 25, you're basically dating a guy 3 years younger than you. Because in terms of like the mental development, men take longer to develop than women. And here's the thing: men take longer to develop, but they develop further. So if
Yes.
something, so it's like women reach the ceiling quicker, but the ceiling is lower, right?
Hmm.
So it's I would say up until about 25-ish.
Hmm.
Women are probably more mature than men, but I think by the time a man is like 30, irrespective of IQ, obviously, if a woman is very high IQ and a man is very low IQ, then the IQ difference will invalidate what I'm about to say. But the average, say, 30-year-old man is more mature than the average 30-year-old woman.
Hmm.
So in terms of like age gap, like if you're a even if you're not high IQ, even if you're an average IQ young woman, an average IQ young man will be like you will look down on him. You will think he's not as nuanced as me. He does not grasp my feelings, my psychology. Like he's not complex enough for me almost. He's too simple. Or he just wants to play games and go to football and drink with his friends. He's too simple of a being almost. Like even if he's masculine, he has muscles and he's like good socially, which is all attractive things, right? But like if she actually cares about like more, she wants more.
Yeah.
Like as in when I say more, I don't mean money. I mean like his being, the strength of his being, like his soul, like the fucking thickness and density of what he fucking is, his level of complexity of the entity you are speaking with. If she wants more
Hmm.
of that, he's not good enough. This is
No,
just for this is for normal
it's
women.
not,
Now think of a high IQ woman and now map this to age gap.
yeah. No, but that and you, it's so funny because you really picked up exactly where the point I wanted to lead is that
Mm.
even though I don't consider myself necessarily as an outlier, but the point is, it's like if you're outlier enough or whatever, it's like that you will be faced with a situation that you can't be with someone that doesn't match you, like long term wise. Like
Yeah,
there's a
you can't.
reason, and
It's true.
it's like if like, and there's one thing that, like, for example, if I look at who I tend to mostly attract, basically either boss babe bitch, but intelligent, not some not so much intelligent, and fucking party girls, right? So again, very much barbell when it comes to the spectrum. So when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I'm enjoying the party girls and everything, but they're not necessarily that suitable long term because of just their lifestyle and everything. But then at the same time, I'm like, I can actually enjoy boss babe. Well, I mean, boss babe is kind of just very established women in their professions, because there's that cognitive meta capacity. The other thing, the other thing I want to
Problem is not intellect with the boss babes. The problem is their soul. You
yes,
know,
no, but again,
they're not dumb.
depends upon their integrity. Yeah, yeah.
Intelligence is a necessary but not sufficient condition. You know,
Mhm,
it's like you can be smart. That does not mean the word. See, I want to use the word spiritual, but the problem is I realize I understand to the average person it just sounds like a bullshit word. It's like, well, what do you mean
like
by
woo woo,
spiritual?
yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm not talking about some hippie shit, but like what I mean is like, I guess what I mean is like orientation, right? So it's like
Mhm,
how you perceive reality and
mhm,
how, so in this specific context, how a woman relates to a man. So not all high IQ women are equal or like
100%.
similar in attitude, and like you can have a high IQ woman who
Mhm,
knows, so there is a tension, right? So the tension, I think the tension between, I think high IQ women have a greater tension between their intellectual capacity and their inherent feminine submissiveness,
mhm.
and that is they are smart enough to see when a man is being dumb, and they don't want to follow a man they don't respect, and
Yeah,
it's harder for them to respect a man because
yeah,
of their perceptiveness, which I actually
100%.
think is valid, totally valid.
Yeah,
Should a smart woman have to be with a man who is not clever enough to contain her or manage her? It happens, but it's a suboptimal bond, right?
yeah.
And like
It's
men are more willing to date down, but I even like, and when I say date down, I mean intellectually, not economically, right? But it's like, even as a man, you shouldn't like you know, it's like you may think, well, if I want to make governing and leading a little bit easier for myself, I don't want a woman who can run cognitive laps around me because her memory is far superior to mine and she can quote everything verbatim I've said for the past 8 months and I can't even remember what the fuck I said to her last week, right?
I
So
know,
so
right?
you don't need some bitch who is like fucking, she is like fucking the Oracle from the Matrix. You know, she can see
Yeah, yeah.
every event, she's simulating everything. Like
You
I
just want a
understand. Like
trinity. You want a trinity. You don't want the oracle, both in
you
looks
want
and in brain. Yeah.
to you want a bad bitch who protects you, not a fucking
There you
no,
go. So,
yeah,
I'll
no,
take the
yeah.
red pill. Just funny with this.
You take a red pill, you end up in a podcast hating on whores.
No, no, no. Uh, well, to be honest, I've got to meet my trinity very, very soon. But like, so maybe you got 5 minutes. Let's say, but it goes. It's very important because also I want to touch on that thing, right? Which is they can dismiss the lower cognitive guy, and they will do that often. But it's the
I
problem,
mean,
and
they
you
should.
touched
Like,
on.
you
No,
have
yeah,
to
no, no. Yeah,
think
they
through the
should.
context of your own daughter. Would you want your daughter to be with a retarded man?
The thing is, I don't project this shit because I don't want kids. But the thing, if I look at
Mm.
if I look at what you're saying, is the problem. Also, what happens is that if she is not, if the society or the environment condition you woman to be more masculine, the more
Hmm.
intellectual, the more
Yes.
academic or whatever they are. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if you do not have the ability to regulate that. The same way, for example, so prostitution is just kind of like social regulation on on a constraints segment. But if you don't have that on a on a micro level, if you as a woman cannot contain that masculinity surplus that is going to be pushed by your environment and your conditioning, you're going to end up self-sabotaging yourself, powered by that intelligence.
Yeah.
And the same way how
Out of habit. Out of
yeah,
habit. Yeah.
exactly. And it's not, and same thing, for example, because I've met some very strongly like intelligent guys, because I used to work in tech. So you have like a lot of guys are very like high IQ, but like lack almost like, and it's not to basically be shit on this, but like almost to autistic level, they don't
Yeah.
understand the
They're
emotional
too logical.
factor.
They're too
Yeah,
logical.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of almost the flip side, or the reverse reflection of the woman that is very intelligent but doesn't have that emotional, I wouldn't say awareness, but just nimbleness that makes a woman so attractive.
Yeah, it's like when you're in it's a point Lauren made on the space you do with her, is that and I agree with this point, by the way, is that even like women get like like high IQ women especially get habituated, so conditioned to be masculine, but this is still a woman who has rape fantasies, right?
Yeah.
Bear this in mind. So it is a burden for them. They're not, it's like egotistically, they feel safe, right?
Yes.
They feel safe because no man is telling me what to do, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But this is still a woman. So what does that mean? It means that she don't want to be fucking responsible for everything all the time, and she's sick and tired of having to fucking tell people
Mhm.
what to do, and she wishes people would leave her alone and stop looking to her for answers. And for once in her life, she would like someone to tell her what to do. Right? That's
Yeah.
what it means. As a man, we don't have that. We don't. You as a man don't think to yourself, "Hey, I want someone to tell me what to do." I'm sick. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe if say like I mean, you said you don't want kids, right? But if you're responsible for people in any capacity, even if it's within a company, if you have subordinates, right? As a leader, if you're in any capacity, any leadership capacity, you may have times where you think, you know what, just fucking leave me alone. Like, I don't want to
Mhm.
fucking handle your shit, tell you what to do, guide you, be disciplined, be stoic, go fuck yourself,
Mhm.
right? Like, you're going to
Yeah.
have these moments. And like, and this is like these boss baby bitches or whatever. Like, the ego side is happy. The ego is happy. The soul is not happy.
Yeah. And
These women are deep down, they're not happy in their souls. They feel safe, but they're not happy.
but it's
Their safety comes at the expense of their satisfaction.
and it goes back, I mean, I'll just want to finish on this. It'll go back a bit, like, when it comes to seduction, right? You look at safety and attraction, and generally attraction come at the expense of safety. Safety on the one end of the spectrum, attraction on the other, like pure attraction. And it's like, but if you are too much on too high attraction, you're not trustworthy. But if you do too high on safety, you're not
Yes,
you don't the bitch
you
doesn't get
must be
wet.
a paradox. You must be a paradox.
Exactly. It's like you must be a paradox, and it's like, and if you're too much in the middle, what's going to happen is that women don't know where to place you, so they'll shit test you to the max. Just basically the problem. It's almost like you need to be a bit more leaning towards attraction, or a bit more leaning towards the safety, depending upon where social mating strategy is at that point in time. And to loop back to what you're saying, which was just because oh my god, I just forgot. It's the woman need to be able, the woman need to be able to just have enough of that capacity to embrace that femininity in
Mm.
spite of the environment. And
Yes, 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 yes.
that's really it. That's
It's
really
like
it.
so it's like they perform the masculine function because the environment requires them to, and because they are able to due to their cognitive ability, but it's not their preference. So they have the capacity to think for themselves
Hmm.
and to evaluate things and discern things. And if you as a man, like think about it. If you are, say some woman is your quote unquote business partner, wife,
Hmm.
significant other, ally, whatever you want to call her, the main woman that you
Hmm.
most respect and care for and whatever. Do you want this woman to be someone who lacks discernment, who cannot judge? Because, well, women are emotional and they need me to like evaluate everything for them. Like, do you want a woman who is completely dependent upon you
Hmm.
in terms of judgment? It doesn't mean that she shouldn't bring things to you and ask you for your opinion and value your opinion. She should do those things, right? But she should also not be so retarded that she doesn't have her own opinion. She should be able to say, like, hey, this is what I saw, this is what I think, I believe that because of this variable and that variable, this evidence, and I related and connected that to this. What do you think? Right? Like what like men have to ask themselves. I actually wrote an essay on this about the cognitive disparities in couples.
Mhm.
Do you want a wife or a girlfriend or whatever you want the fuck you want to call her, your significant other woman as a man? Do you want a pet? Right? And there's the thing, some men like the idea of a pet. They think,
Mhm.
oh, she does what I want, blah blah blah. And on the ego side, that's good. You get the sex that you want when you want it. Obviously, men love that shit. Whatever, that's great. Yeah, but it's like also she's not very like she's not how do we say she she cannot really defend herself, right? And maybe you like the idea of that. You think, well, I get to feel more masculine because I'm protecting her. And don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with protecting a woman. Also a great thing, right? But it's like, do you like? It's what are you protecting someone who's so retarded they can't see the danger coming at them, or are you protecting someone who can see the danger coming at them but needs you because you're big and strong and she's just small? There's like there are like gradations within this
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, but it's just want to say it's kind of like it's kind of like the guys that say I want a feminine woman. If you have been with like a very, very, very feminine woman, she's useless. She's literally fucking useless. Do you have that
I know what you
capacity
mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
do you have that capacity to basically cater to that uselessness? But anyway, I am. I mean, it's been fucking great, right? But I've really got to go now. Unfortunately, I mean, I would speak with you all day long, man. No shit. It's been fucking great. Do you have any any message that you want, last message that you want to say to the audience, or whatever, how you want to close the
Yeah, I
pod?
have I have I have one message actually, and it's quite general. Try to apply the golden mean on everything that you do, right? So you will usually get like two views or two sides in all things, right? And what you need to do is find the truth in the opposites, bring them together, and then apply that to your plan, right? So if that sounds like too complicated or whatever, you just need one solution, copy and paste, fair enough. But if you actually want to achieve like the best outcomes for yourself, you cannot actually like basically all the like schools of thought, opinions, and whatever. None of them are perfect. They all have a degree of truth in them, but if you want the best for yourself, you must identify the truth in various different things and bring them together within yourself and then make your own strategy. And now a lot of people cannot do this. Okay. But if
Yeah.
you can do this, you should do it. Because that's the best thing for yourself. So don't just buy into any what like red pill or feminism or whatever the fuck stupid bullshit. Like you need your basically what I'm saying is train your own discernment. If you can, if you're capable, if you can train your discernment, you should train your discernment and use that discernment to build your own way of seeing. Don't let other people program you and tell you how to think. Listen to them, evaluate their opinions, and try to see the validity in what they say and dismiss what seems like bullshit and build your own inherent framework of the world. Now, I realize what I'm saying. If you're retarded, this is bad advice
Yeah.
because you cannot do it. I'm not trying to be
uh,
condescending, but I
yeah.
really I say this with the most. I assume the average person listening to this, they want the best for themselves and they're trying the hardest and they're probably above average cognitive ability, right? If this is you, then yeah, do not let anyone, do not buy into things. L- Evaluate everything, look for the truth from wherever it may come, from any angle, any school, whatever, and build your own model of reality. That's all I have to say.
It's funny because the same approach. I hate giving prescription. I like to give the tools to people to come to their own
Yeah.
conclusion. And it's funny that you have the same type of angle. Well, anyway, I am. I'm gonna have I've got to go. Duty calls me. I'm reporting for duty. So, guys, thank you very much for listening. If you've listened to that stage, I am again. I mean, I fucking enjoyed that talk so much, and I really
Yeah,
appreciate you
great talk,
coming
man.
over, and feel like a very much of a privilege. And I'll speak with you soon, definitely on the DMs.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on, and take care.
Oh, no worries, man. Speak soon. Hold on.